In fact, this is rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. This website I've got up here on the screen. This is our department website for the tech department. And if you go to training and then current training events, you can see all the classes that I'm currently teaching. Here we are today, First Atlanta. And this is what I had up for a description for today. But also, if you can't attend today's class, you can watch live, and that'll get you connected right to our YouTube channel, where you can see, here we are, it's about a 5-second delay. There it is. It's exactly what I'm doing on YouTube. You can watch live, and that'll get you connected right to our YouTube channel. Okay. So the way you find this, like I said, you could either go to our link over here. You could go to training, current training events, and then click on one of the First Atlanta classes there. And at the bottom, it'll have a link to the YouTube channel. That's one way you can get to it. Or you can just go to YouTube and do a search for KW First Atlanta, like this. If I go to youtube.com, not Google, but YouTube, and do a search KW First Atlanta. Oh my goodness, I can't type. Y'all are making me nervous. I'm just kidding. Here it is right there, KW First Atlanta. And you can see we're live right now. So if I click through the channel, you can see our current video stream. When there it is right there, live. So if I were to click on that, it would pull up the video, what we're doing today. And when we complete today, that'll just get saved to our archive. And you can see we have an archive building. So team meetings, different classes, whenever they roll the camera, which is right up there in the back in the ceiling, or today I'm just rolling the camera on the screens, the virtual camera, it just collects as a video archive. And here's what's really cool. You can go over here and subscribe right there. And when you subscribe, it gives you the option for alerts. And I say yes to alerts, because now when I'm driving down the road Tuesday mornings and Wednesday mornings, my phone starts chirping up and says, Sandy Springs sales meeting is now live. And Cityside or Dunwoody or whatever, you know, I've got 6 different offices here that we've done this for. And yeah, I'll listen to it or watch it. Sometimes I'm driving around in traffic listening to it in my truck, you know. I can listen to a team meeting and what's happening. So it's really nice to get the alerts and notifications. So that's worth taking a look at when you get a chance. Today, though, we're here to talk about our Placester websites. And it is now 1:02, so we're going to get started on that topic right now. Is there anybody who's not connected to the internet? If you brought your laptop, if you're having trouble getting connected, let me know. I'll get you connected. I want you to be able to follow along with what we're doing today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Scott Hardy, and I am the Director of Technology for the Rawls Group. My responsibilities are to run the help desk and the tech department for covering all 6 of the Rawls Group offices. So that's here at Sandy Springs, Buckhead, Dunwoody, Peachtree Road, East Cobb, Cityside. We also go all the way out to Douglasville whenever they need help. And here is my website for our department, rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. Who here is seeing this page for the first time? Well, you saw it just a second ago, right? But for the first time. It's curious to know. I like to make sure I start every class by showing our website, because I want you to know a couple of resources that are available to you. One resource is blaring right on the page are these 2 videos. Today we're talking about Placester Website Setup 101, and I've got today's content encapsulated into a video here, captured in a video. You can click through, and this is a great resource if you attend today's class and can't stay the whole time and got to leave early. The things you missed will be covered in this video, which are broken down in the table of contents. On the left-hand side, you can click on any one of these topics. It's good if you attend the whole class today and maybe need a reinforcement on a topic or something. Maybe I lost you on how to build the menu, or maybe you saw that today and you didn't try building it yourself until about maybe 2 weeks from now, and you wanted a refresher there. For example, right there, you can click on menu right there, and it would cue the video right to the menu section. A lot of folks have told me, if I started the video, I would start talking about how to build the menu. A lot of folks have told me they've been able to follow this video without even coming to class or even making an appointment with me, and been able to get their website set up, which is a huge compliment. That's the whole idea here, is that you've got an on-demand resource, right? So if it's 10 o'clock at night and you want to spend 30 minutes on your website, it's right there. Just go to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. It's on the main page. You can click right through there and you can catch what we're doing today on demand. Yes, ma'am.
Which Wi-Fi?
I recommend the 5G connection. If you can get on the KW 5G, you see that, get on it, and the password for that is the main phone number here, which is 404-531-5700. Whoops, I was going to do a search for Wi-Fi and I put WOFO. You can actually do a search at rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com and you can see all the Wi-Fis across the 6 locations. There they are. This is information. If you're ever visiting or need to get on another location, there they are. And we're at Sandy Springs, 404-531-5700. Get you on. 5G is going to be the faster connection. In addition to showing this Setup 101 video, to the right is a more advanced class I'm working on. This is not a video, it's slides and some video. I did a tech lab presentation a few months ago, and I'm working on this class. It needs to go back to the woodshed and get a little bit more polishing. But if you are looking for topics outside of the setup, you can click through here and you can navigate through some advanced slides, but we're not going to be talking about those today. Another resource on my website is actually our training calendar. Right up here where it says training, if you just click on the word training or current training events, it'll take you to the same place. You can see all the classes I'm currently teaching right now. So again, if you can't make it the whole class today, or if you want reinforcement, here we are today. But look, I'll be at Peachtree Road on July 25th, which is next week, which is just down the corner from here, around the corner from here, not far. You're welcome to come and find me at any of these locations. I'll be at Dunwoody, Atlanta Perimeter, which is not far from here, on the 27th. So you can, I don't mean to be clicking through there, it's just going in. So anyway, you can see what my current classes are and you can chase me down and visit. Absolutely. You don't need to register for them, you can just attend. So I've always got my training schedule right up here for you. And the last thing I want to show you before we dig into some things is under Help Desk here. I've got an area where you can create Help Desk tickets right here. It's pretty straightforward creating a Help Desk ticket. You've probably created a Help Desk ticket at some point in your life. It's a real simple form to fill out. Ask questions about who you are and how to contact you. And then as you progress through the form, it'll ask you more questions about, looks like one that was being filled out here. That's funny. And didn't get saved. But anyway, and then details about what kind of help you need. And when you submit it down here, what happens is this goes into a ticket queue. And we answer tickets not in the order we receive them. We answer tickets in the order of severity. Most people understand that. If you open up a ticket saying, hey, I cannot print to my favorite printer down the hall, we'll take that as a ticket. And then if somebody else opens a ticket and says, hey, nobody on the 4th floor can print to any printers in the entire building, obviously I've got to go tackle the bigger issue first. And most people understand that, right? That makes good sense. But the question remains, when am I going to get on your one ticket, right? Because we answer every ticket. And we got some feedback. People said it's really frustrating waiting and not knowing when am I going to get help. So we created this option as well, which is creating a tech session down here. And we've got great response from this. If you click through booking with Scott Hardy, the gentleman that was here just a minute ago, he was wanting time with me, and I kept saying, let's schedule you right now. And he kept wanting to come up and get on my calendar. I said, no, it's right here on the internet. You can come right up here and you can see my availability, and you can book a remote tech session with me. The green squares are my availability. These don't cost you anything. They range in 30 minutes to an hour. You can get as many of these appointments as you want to. And what's nice is, for example, if I pick Wednesday the 26th at 1 p.m., you now know exactly when I'm going to be helping you. No more guesswork. I have a bit of a reputation of being difficult to track down at times, so I thought, why not just put my schedule right up there and make myself an easy target? So you know your schedule, now you know mine. And if you were to book this appointment here, then at Wednesday, July 26th at 1 p.m., I will call whatever number you put in here, and we'll work on whatever it is here that you need help with there. All you need is internet connection for that appointment, right? So you can be at Starbucks, you can be at your house, you can be here at the office, wherever you want to be. We'll just remote in, take control of your screen, and speak to you over the phone. Anybody here done a remote tech session with me before? You have. How'd it turn out?
Great.
I get great feedback on it. I mean, it's like I'm sitting right there with you on the phone, you know, and we can accomplish most things. So there's some resources on my website that I want to make sure everybody sees. There'll be some more today we'll discover as we make progress through the content. A big part of me showing you how to schedule a remote tech session with me is there's going to be stuff we're going to get into today that I just can't get any deeper in because of time. And that's when I'm going to stop and say, now that I've showed you the basics of this concept, it's a good example of getting on my schedule, and that's what I'm talking about. Go over here and get on my schedule. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Terrific. So, talking about building or creating Placester's websites, I find it's easier to explain it if I just show you what one looks like. This is a website. This is my demo website here. It's called treehousefinder.com. And what you're looking at here is one of 8 different templates available from Placester. This is a Placester website. Anybody already using a Placester website to some degree, playing around with it? Very good. Surprised, sometimes I hear all kinds of different answers of what people are using. There's a lot of options out there. Placester is definitely an option for us. There's third-party solutions. But I'll tell you, we're at an interesting time with Keller Williams where we've got some legacy products that are floating around that predate Placester. Have you heard of eEdge and eAgency? Both those systems offer a website for agents, and it's important to know those website systems are being retired. eAgency is supposed to be going away at the end of this year. eEdge is supposed to be going away after that. And Placester is going to be the in-house product that everybody needs to be working on. So we want to make sure that we're working on Placester sites and not eEdge or eAgency. Pretty standard website though. My web address, I'll start with that real quick and show you. Treehousefinder.com is a registered domain. I bought that domain through GoDaddy and set it up and configured it with the website. So if you've got a domain name that you've already purchased or you've been thinking about purchasing a domain name, you can connect them to the Placester website. I probably will not be able to demonstrate how to do that today. I tried that once in a class. I said, okay, everybody, let's connect our domains to our websites. And in unison, we all progressed to a train wreck where people said, oh my gosh, now my website is not coming up. I've got problems. So I've learned not to try and do that together in class. But if that's something you need today, if you've got a domain and that was one of the things you wanted done today, I will make sure and we can do that before we leave today for you individually. But you can brand your domain name, and I just use Treehouse Finder. I've had that for 10 years. When we were teaching the eAgency website, I used treehousefinder.com and pointed it to our old eAgency site. And then when the company changed over and said, hey, we're going to start using eEdge, I updated my GoDaddy account and I changed Treehouse Finder and pointed it to my eEdge template. And I used that for 5 years or so. And then when they said, hey, everybody, now the company's changing again, and we're going to use Placester, I went into GoDaddy and I updated again and pointed my treehousefinder.com to the Placester template. So definitely powerful if you own your own domain, because as the company changes or as your life changes and your business changes, you can update that branded domain. Imagine if you had 5,000 business cards that were printed up with the Keller Williams domain on the card, and then Keller Williams decided, you know what, we're no longer using Placester, we're going to move on to another vendor. All your old business cards would be invalid at that point. But if you brand a domain you own with GoDaddy, you can update it and weather the storm of changes that are on the horizon. Does that make sense? The website has all the common features of branding, logos up here, Keller Williams Atlanta perimeter in the top left. You can probably imagine where I taught this class last. Your headshot and contact information. We'll learn how to put all that in today. One thing that obviously stands out right here in the middle is we have a great big image. This is called a slideshow here. I've got an amazing treehouse that I would love to live in. Just so you know, I'm not a salesperson. I'm 100% technical, so I don't really sell treehouses. I have the luxury of engaging a fictitious business that I love treehouses in real life and thought, why not? I'll be the treehouse realtor.
I just saw an amazing one on Pinterest last night.
Oh, really?
I was thinking the same thing. God, I would love to live in that.
There's some of them that are just absolutely livable.
You know, one in Blackhead, and it's the
I do.
#1 rental place on.
Yeah, you did.
What's it called?
I don't know, Buckhead.
No, the website that you go to rent.
Oh,
I don't know off the top of my head.
You can Google it and find it easily. It's very notorious and quickly became notorious. I mean, there's not a lot of competition for that. You know what, though? I don't think it's a very pretty treehouse.
B&B.com.
Oh, is it on B&B?
Yeah, it's their #1 rental.
That's interesting.
You don't think it's that pretty?
What's that?
You don't like
Oh, I don't. I mean, look at this treehouse. This thing's amazing. It's on the river and it's got a canoe and I mean, whatever. But their treehouse kind of looks.
like the woods, I think.
Yeah. And it looks like it's in their backyard. It looks like it's only about 3 feet off the ground. And,
Lots of bridges.
Yeah.
The bedroom, you can either be outside or inside.
Right.
Cute to me.
Well,
There's tons of them though.
there are. It's definitely taken off.
Yeah.
I've been doing this gag for 10 years, and it's interesting because people think I really sell tree houses, and I say, no, actually, it's just a demo site. But you want to get control over this image right here. It can be a slideshow. I've chosen to just put one single image in, but you can put up to 5 images that slide across, and we'll see some examples of that today. You'll learn how to control that. Another thing that's very important that stands right out is you've got this property search tool here. This is an IDX property search. Anybody ever heard of that before? IDX? It's an acronym. IDX stands for Internet Data Exchange. It's a super important part of your online presence. If you don't already know, IDX, what it does for you as an agent is it's a technology that provides you a way to position a search on your website that taps into your local MLS database so that consumers can search properties, but it has a very important distinction between other searches, and that distinction is that it uses the FMLS or Georgia MLS, whichever one you want, to put all the results up on the screen, all the details of the results, price, amenities, descriptions, and all that. One thing, though, gets stripped out, and that's the listing agent's contact info, right? It gets taken out, and your contact information is displayed in place of the listing agent. So on your website, when somebody does a search here, and they're looking at listings, the listing agent contact is removed, your contact information is put in place, so therefore you're getting positioned to be a buyer's agent when consumers are searching listings on your website. So you can be, it's great, it's a super important tool to have. So you could be driving down the road, and I could be driving down the road, somebody calls me and says, hey Scott, I was just at treehousefinder.com and I was looking at 123 Main Street, love that house, and I'm thinking, that's not my listing. I know, oh, that's my IDX, it's gone to work for me. So you train your brain when you get that type of contact to go into a buyer's agent script because you know what's happening. I've had people, at least one person, tell me, hey, my website's messed up because it's showing listings that aren't mine. And people are calling me about listings that aren't mine. I need it fixed. And I thought, oh my word, they just didn't understand IDX, you know, and I was like, that's a victory, man. That's your website working for you. So it's very important we get that configured today so that our database of FMLS database or MLS database is connected to the website and the search is working properly. That's one of the first things we'll tackle. Below that is our featured properties area, and it is powered by IDX as well. You get a clue here, you know which database I'm using because you can see the FMLS logos there. I've attached my website to FMLS. You will get control over the featured properties. We'll talk about this in more depth. Basically, I'll cover 2 scenarios with this. One scenario being an agent who's got inventory and you've got specific listings that you want to showcase on your website, or maybe there's just some specific listings in general, somebody you're working with, or somebody has an example, some things that you like. If you want to be specific, you can put very specific listings up here. Or if you don't have any inventory at all and you just want to get a feed of listings based on criteria like a price point and a location, we'll show you that as another scenario where you can feed in listings and just have a pipeline of listings coming in as your featured properties. That's what I've got right now, is a pipeline of listings, very expensive listings. We'll talk about why those are up there and how to get control of those in a little bit today. That's powered by IDX. Same rule applies. If I were to click through and look at the details of this listing, whoa, what happened there? That's always fun. Yeah, let's just do that one. Looks like my neighbor's house. I'm just kidding. You'll notice that my contact information, the listing agent contact information is not there. All the details you see there are coming from MLS. If you want to contact, if you want to make contact as a consumer on this listing, fill this form out here. I'll get the notification. All right, and then the only contact information they see is up here, my name and my phone number. So
That's the way it's going to be looking like.
That's it. That's the way it's going to look. Pretty straightforward. We'll get into that. Make sure that's configured to your needs today. Moving down, just showing you some extra things on my website. You can add testimonies. You can see I've got a very eclectic group of clientele. My latest one here, Donald Trump, he had good things to say about me. And the most common question that I get, people ask, how do the testimonies get in there? And the way it works, it's not like Amazon where the consumer directly posts to the website and rates it. Your clients will just need to email you. You just ask for the testimony and then take what they've written. You can edit it and then post it in here. I'm not going to walk through adding a testimony today. It's pretty straightforward. If you need help with it, let me know. But you'll see a place where you can add testimonies. But we just won't have time today to get into how to add a testimony. If that's something that's a hot button for you, though, and you came here today with your testimonies ready and you're just trying to figure out how to get them in there, don't let me leave it without helping you get that in there today. We'll make sure it gets in there. The website kind of finishes up down here with some final contact information for me and some certifications. We'll talk about how to get those in, and just wraps up at the bottom with contact. Pretty straightforward stuff. Got social media icons over here. We'll learn today how to add your social media. Most of the templates will show the social media at the bottom and at the top. This will have it somewhere. Here it is, top left. And we can get into our navigation as well. The navigation across the top, you'll start out with some items that are built in. You can edit those or remove them, or you can just add completely new stuff. And we'll learn today how to manipulate the menu. Today I'll show you how to add a link, such as this one right here, a link to our free mobile app. How many people here use the free mobile app, the agent search app? There's a picture of it right there on a tablet and a phone. It's one of the best pieces of software KW's put together. I love it, and I think it's important to have that on your website. We'll learn today how to do a link like I just did to download your app. We'll help you figure out what your code is and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so I have my license in Florida, and that's the office that I used to be in.
Okay.
So I have everything with them. How does it work with, like, my logo showing, like, this office now?
So it has to do with your enrollment in Winmore with Terry. So how long have you been on board now?
Signed everything yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Really just kind of got me started up. Like, on my KW, I'm just now starting to see where you can click from both offices.
Right, you can
out.
switch. Yeah.
My Sandy Springs one still doesn't look the way that I think it should look, because I know Bailey mentioned to me that all of your glasses show up on there that are like a monthly calendar. I don't see any of that.
It will eventually. It will. It takes time. I think it's too soon. I think what you and I should do is maybe set an appointment. Either tomorrow's Friday, so either tomorrow or maybe for Monday to circle back and see if there's been enough time. Because being just enrolled yesterday, it takes time for everything. Yeah, they push it from the MCA computer up to international, and it has to propagate across all kinds of systems. Yeah. So hopefully you can participate in what we're doing today. You might have to do a lot of observation. So if it becomes too much observation, it won't hurt my feelings if you pack it up and go or do something different. But I'll try to keep it as interesting as possible for you if you're just following along as well. A couple things that are not as intuitive that I think are really worth showing off is, one is the fact that these websites are mobile responsive. Have you ever heard of that term, mobile responsive? That's a very important, very common term you'll hear anytime you're speaking about web development, web design. That will often come up. These are mobile responsive websites. All that simply means is it's universal in terms of how it will present on a screen. Right now, you're looking at it as it's reflecting off of, it's mirrored off this monitor I've got here on the podium, and you're in a desktop aspect ratio, meaning the width and the height is typical of a computer desktop, and the website can sense that, so it's laying out all the elements and the objects accordingly. But if I were to view this website on a mobile phone or a tablet, it would change everything. I can simulate that if I come over here just by breaking down this window a little bit and kind of simulate a phone. Watch what happens as I shrink this in. You'll notice that the website changes. It responds to the mobileness, if you will. This looks like a phone, right? You can imagine that's sort of the aspect ratio, the width and the height of a phone. And look what's happened. The website has taken the menu first off and converted it. Here's a little bit of trivia I like to share. Anybody have an idea of what this is called? This type of menu? It's called the hamburger. My kid taught me that one day. I was on a website on his tablet. He said, click on the hamburger. And I was like, what? And apparently that's what they call this. It's these three lines. It's a hamburger menu. When you click on it, there comes my menu. So it's been consolidated into a fast food item, I guess, into a hamburger right there. So indication, dead on indication, their signature being mobilized right there. You can see my screen has changed. The image still fits and it's formatted correctly. My featured properties no longer going horizontally. Now they're positioned vertically. It can totally handle. It looks good, you know, and it was no big deal for the website to present in, it even slides those over together, that's interesting, in a mobile aspect. Or if I wanted to look at it maybe kind of as a tablet, it would look sort of like, it's kind of like this. That's about like a tablet. And so you can see it reformatted it again. So you're going to have maybe two big columns. Oh, okay, it's made them bigger here. So that's pretty awesome that it does that. And now we're looking at 2 columns for our listings. Nice that it did that and it's handling it. And then if I keep going, it'll snap eventually that menu. Watch the hamburger. There it goes. Pow, it snapped. Did you see that? So now it's back in the desktop. Now there's several reasons why this is important. One is, well, first off, have you ever been on a website that's not mobile responsive? What kind of experience is that, right? It's terrible. So you're sitting there with your phone and you're navigating a site and you're pinching and zooming and panning over with your finger trying to click on links. If you're like me, I click on a link and I can't get the right link because my finger's too big, and ultimately, what do you end up doing on a site that's not mobile responsive? You leave, right? That's it. You go. Which is a great segue to reason number 2 why this is so important, because Google now is paying attention to whether or not your site is mobile responsive. Google knows that more and more consumers are using mobile devices to search the internet. And so when Google is crawling the internet and trying to figure out how to rank websites, because that's what Google does all day long. It reads websites, analyzes them. It's got this big algorithmic formula it applies to rank websites and to position them on the page based on your searches. Well, one of the criteria now is whether or not your website passes a mobile readiness check. So when Google's software encounters your website, it'll ask the question, are you mobile responsive? It'll test it. And if it passes, it'll push your website up higher in the ranks. If it fails, it'll push it lower in the results on the results page, which is interesting. It's not going to make or break your SEO initiative, but it is one contributing factor to where your page will rank. So there's 2 reasons why we like the mobile responsiveness. Our old systems, eEdge and eAgency, are not mobile responsive. Back in the day, you could upgrade your eAgency site for $1,400. There is a company called Brandco that they specialize in customizing KW agent websites, and that was one of the things they offered before we had Placester. Was for $1,400 you could get the mobile responsive refresh of the eAgency system, and turns out now it's built into the Placester sites for us. It doesn't cost us anything, so that's a huge win. I love that about these websites. Make sense? Another thing that's not as obvious, but it's worth mentioning, and then this will be the last thing I'll kind of showboat for you here, is these pages here. I've got a category on my menu called service areas, and then this menu pulls down. We'll learn how to build this pull down today. And I've got some service areas, and you can see that I've named some cities. And these are special pages. These are pages that Placester calls area pages. I'll click on the East Cobb page because we're going to be spending time on the East Cobb page today. This is my East Cobb area page coming up. And what an area page is, it's a different kind of page within the Placester system. And what's different about it is the content is composed of 2 different types of content. Customized content and IDX content. Remember, we talked about IDX and its importance with showing inventory from MLS and hiding the listing agent's contact info. So as we scroll down this page, let me show you. The custom content part is the image I put in. I put that image in for East Cobb Park at East Cobb Park, the bridge at East Cobb Park. And these areas here where I've put in some copy edit, talking about the economy and workforce of East Cobb. I put all that in there. I put this video in. That's part of my custom content. It continues down there where I'm just adding some words and content about the page, about East Cobb, real estate, and things like that. But then things change when you get down here. Here's where the IDX content starts coming in. This map, I did not build the map. The map comes in as a template. When I launched this page and told Placester, okay, I'm ready to build an area page and I want it to be an East Cobb page, I defined it. It's one of the first things we'll do. We'll learn how to do this today when we build the area pages, is I defined it as East Cobb, and it set all the IDX parameters. So now it's showing push pins for East Cobb and listings for East Cobb. And why this is important is because Google can actually see this page. And when Google crawls this page, all the content of this page actually contributes to your relevant score for content. So when Google crawls my website and it sees this page, it says, okay, treehousefindr.com's got a page about East Cobb. Well, one of the first things that it looks at is, well, how much does he talk about East Cobb? Well, I've got all this custom stuff here that I wrote. But then down here, I've got all this IDX stuff that Google can see. This is a special type of service with our IDX where Google can index the photos, the lettering, the words, everything. Look how many pages of listings there are. There's 54 East Cobb pages in this little area. So as far as Google's concerned, I've written 54 pages, or I've got 54 pages of content about East Cobb. And so it helps boost my website up in the search ranking because I have a volume of content. Now, some of the things that Google looks for is unique content. We're not going to score any high relevance there because this is the same content that you could have on your website if you built an East Cobb page. So there's some repetition, but you're still going to get the benefit of it. One other thing Google looks for is that the content changes. And because it's IDX, think about what it's showing. It's showing listing data. Of course, that changes. Somebody changes the price, it's going to change the page. If a listing goes off the market, it's going to leave the page. If something gets added to the market, that new listing is going to show up on the page. It's constantly changing. It's very volatile, and that gets Google's attention as well. So these pages are really helpful when it comes to getting your website found at Google when you add area pages. And what I did is I made a category called service areas, and then I defined 5 or 6 city-oriented area pages. Check this example out, just to give you some contrast. If you look at I guess it's St. Lucia Home Sale. I want to say St. Lucie Home Sale, but I'm thinking is that St. Lucia or St. Lucie? Anybody know?
Well, St. Lucia is down here in the Caribbean, St. Lucie's up in the
All right, well, I have been saying it right then. Yeah, the other day, I want it the right one, Florida. So it must be St. Lucie. So this is stluciehomesale.com. This template here is one of the same. This is one of 8 different templates. It's called the Plymouth template. I got this from KW International. They said, here's an example of a website you can share in your class. They gave us a handful to kind of look through. This is one that I show. And the reason I show this is not so much for the template. By the way, you can see the difference. I have one slideshow, one image. They've got multiple images sliding through. You'll have that option. But what got my eye about this particular website was her treatment of the area pages. And it's right here under communities. Remember, I called mine service areas. She calls hers communities. And here what she's done is she's defined quite a bit of area pages. Unlike me, I did mine by city. She did hers by neighborhood. Did you catch the difference there? You can define an area page by state, city, neighborhood, zip code. That's it. So look at her Country Club Estates website, or excuse me, page, for example. And so now we're drilling into her Country Club Estates page, and here's her custom content. Now this is a different template than I was on. I'm on the Madison, she's on the Plymouth. So the Plymouth handles it a little bit differently, and it put the area map up here to the top right. But that area map there is IDX powered with her local MLS. So she's got an IDX map there. She continues with a lot of custom photos. She put all that in there. So far, that's all her stuff. But then when you get down here, we start seeing the listings. And so the idea of it is that consumers aren't finding her website by going to St. Lucie Home Sale. The idea would be that consumers are going to Google and searching homes for sale in St. Lucie or homes for sale at Country Club Estates, and they're finding this page because Google's crawling this page, which has multiple listings and multiple pages. Now it's only 2 right now, but the idea is that people would find this page, and this would be their entry point into her website. And then once you're here, you would read through this page, and the idea is that you'd have some engaging enough content for your consumer that they would either find a conversion goal like this, filling out a get in touch form. You know, hey Allison, looks like you really got a handle on this community. I'd love to be, living there by the end of the summer. What can you do for me? That sort of thing. Or maybe they start engaging in other areas of the website. Is that making sense? No, getting that? So we'll talk about that more when we get into how to build the pages, but without being shown that, it's something that's easy to overlook, and I think that's a very powerful part of the website to help you get Google's attention on your page. What do y'all think about these website systems so far? Pretty good? Okay? I think they're really good. We're going to get into it right now. These are WordPress sites. I love that too, by the way. These are WordPress sites, so the idea is that the developer, the company Placester, can keep growing these templates for us over time. So we're anxious to see what comes over in the future. So to get into these systems, start changing your website around and getting control of yours, you'll need to head over to mykw.kw.com. You need to be logged in to mykw.kw.com. So here it's asking me to get logged in. Looks like Jimmy Barron was there. Let's do S. Hardy, and I think I know my password. Oh, hang on. It's saved on my computer. I think that's it. Oh my goodness. Class may be over.
I hate
I hate it when it happens in a room full of people. It's embarrassing. If it's not this one, it'll be this one then. Okay. I know.
I have a question.
Why is that not letting me in? Hang on one second. Let me see if I can get in here. Oh, it looks like my caps lock was on. That makes sense. Sharding. And are you looking for power?
Yeah, I think my battery, I needed a battery. It's dying sometimes.
Okay, what was your question, ma'am?
So because I may step out, I was looking at your schedule,
Mhm.
but I don't think you have anything up until next Wednesday.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
about the norm.
Yeah.
Just about,
Yeah.
So with having everything set up, waiting until everything kind of goes through the system,
Mhm.
Wednesday sufficient then, if I just set something up for either Wednesday or Thursday?
I think so.
Because I guess I kind of need help with setting up the printers and all that.
Oh, absolutely. And we can run through that too. Yep,
Okay.
we get your printer set up.
All right.
Okay. So you should be over here at mykw.kw.com. Hopefully you recognize this area. This is the intranet for all the associates. As a reference, I'll show you here in the middle where it says eEdge control panel. This is just a reference. You can see next to my marketing, there's this plus sign. And here's the old systems right here. Manage eEdge website and manage eAgency website. These are the ones that are going away. So we want to, if you've been working in those, we want to stop working in those and start working in the new system, which is found directly at the top in the black horizontal toolbar where it says technology and then websites. Kind of wish they would write Placester right there next to that. That would make so much sense. They even got room for it, don't they?
Yeah.
We should all send an email to support@kw.com and tell them. Click through KW websites, and this brings you to a certain area here. This is the gateway. I call it the gateway to Placester. And hopefully everybody in the room has a page that looks just like this where it says your new website is ready, and there's a red button that says go to my website. If it says something different, like your website's not ready, come back later. And if you've been an agent for more than, say, 2 weeks with Keller Williams, then we need to get on the phone with Placester and push that along. If you're a new agent and it says it's not ready, you need to wait about 7 days or so. But hopefully everybody is on the same page with me where it says your new website is ready. And you can go ahead and click on go to my website. And that will bring you to a dashboard. And this is new. This just came out, I guess, with about 30 days. In fact, if you're watching my video, the video doesn't have this screenshot because the video was done before Placester changed this around. So you can kind of bump your way through it. It's not a big deal in the video. But they've made this, I think, kind of a little busy of a dashboard. But I guess they wanted to cover a lot of material, a lot of information at one glance. Can be a little overloading first. You can see how many listings my website's showing, how many blog posts I've had, how many pages I've created, how many area pages I've got. One thing that's interesting too that may not be as obvious is you can have multiple websites. I do a advanced class I've been working on for SEO content and some stuff, and it's called affordablegeorgiacabins.com, and there it is right there. What I'm going to do is go switch over to Treehouse Finder. Do you see how if you've got multiple sites, it accumulates up here at the top right? So I'm going to click over to treehousefinder.com. Now for you, a reason you can see here now I'm in the treehousefinder.com. Why would an agent have multiple sites? It could be that maybe you've got business in Florida and maybe business in Georgia, that kind of thing, where you want to, if you're licensed in both places, you may want to create a new site. You can see right up here you can add an additional website. Maybe you've got a very specific business model. Maybe you want to dive into midtown condos, for example, but you don't want to make that your only business. So maybe you create a special site. You can add a new site and create that and build it out. But for today, everybody should have just one single website. You shouldn't be having to pull this down and choose. unless you've already gone and created an additional site. Everybody gets one free site and it starts up automatically. So hopefully you're looking at your one page, and it should look something like this, where you have all these different getting started buttons. Where we're going to focus our attention today is right here, edit site. We're just going to get right past this dashboard and click on edit site. And this is the heart of where we're going to spend our time today. Is anybody lost right now? Everybody with me? So inside this edit site area, if your website is not published yet, right up here at the top right where it says, mine says view live site, if you see something else other than view live site, if right here in this area it says launch your website, you need to go ahead and launch it today. I think everybody raised their hand today and said you're already using the Placester site, so I guess everybody's probably launched. Anytime you want to see the progress of your website, you can always click on View Live Site. If I click on View Live Site right now, you'll see it's going to bring me to my Treehouse Finder site. There we are. So I can see as I'm making changes to it, I'll be able to see changes. And what we're going to do today is we're going to start by going through this area right here where it says Listings. Right there, I've got it highlighted. We're going to work our way through these topics here where we're going to connect our website to the database. And then we're going to spend time going through the site design where we're going to complete our branding and some theme selection and contact information and setup, work with our menus. We're going to go through all these sections here. Once we get through these sections, we'll stop for a second and come up here to areas. And this is where we'll work on those area pages. Here's my area pages. Remember I showed you my East Cobb page? So we'll get into those. This zone up here is the special pages. If you want to add a testimonial, there it is. If you want to add a blog post, there it is, kind of things. We're going to work on the areas pages. And typically, by the time I get through showing you how to build the area page, it's 4 o'clock. It's time to wrap up. We've run out of time. I rarely leave out of here right at 4 o'clock. So if you're still working on your stuff, I make it a point to hang out. If you need some help, desk side, I'm happy to do that with you and help and stay for a little bit. I do have an assignment right after class today that I'll have to jump on out here at Sandy Springs. So we'll have some time, but not a ton of time. I'm going to come back over here to site settings up here. And speaking of time, here's how I want to handle stuff. I've done a lot of talking, I know, and it feels like we've kind of been moving maybe a little slow. I just wanted to show you some things. We are going to ratchet up a little bit here. We're going to be moving. And so I want to cover a lot of material. I want to try and do it quickly. And what I want to do is, if you've got questions, I welcome questions. A lot of times I learn stuff as I listen and answer the questions. But give me a chance to get through the section we're in. Write your question down if you've got a question. If I don't cover it, let's hear it. And if it's something that benefits the whole room, we may talk about it. If it's something that's just going to apply to you, I may ask you to hold on to that, and we'll work on that together, either in an appointment or after class or on the side. And then hopefully that way we can get through all this material. Is that fair? All right, so let's get started together. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Is everybody with me on this edit site page, looking right here where you can click IDX integration to get started? This is the first thing we're going to work on. If you're lost, raise your hand. If you're with me, click on IDX registration. Here we go. When you click on IDX registration, first thing that comes up is a slide out that's going to allow you to connect your website to the appropriate database. Your choices are Georgia MLS, First MLS, there's a question about region, we'll talk about that in a second, and then KWLS. You can connect your website to any one of these databases by looking over here. There's a link that says use this MLS across from the name of it. You can tell right now my website is currently selected to FMLS. If I wanted it to be showing Georgia MLS listings, I could just say right there, click on use this MLS, and now my website will be connected to Georgia MLS. Or I could come back down here and say I want to use KWLS. What's KWLS, y'all? Keller Williams Listing System or Service. What do you find inside of KWLS's database? Keller Williams listings, right? By default, the system connects all the Placester sites to KWLS. That's not a very strong value proposition to your website visitor because they don't want to see just Keller Williams listings. They want to see everything, competitive listings and Keller Williams listings. So it's important you don't skip over this part, knowing that out the door, everybody gets connected to KWLS, and a telltale sign that you're connected to KWLS, that your website is connected to KWLS, is if you go to your website and look at featured properties or do a property search, you'll find that there's listings all over the country, right? And that's a good indicator that you've tapped into the national KWLS database. So you want to correct that and make sure you connect to FMLS or Georgia MLS. Most people in the room would argue that FMLS is going to be the right choice. I'm going to go ahead and reconnect mine to FMLS. And then finally, this region question here. Mine says region and then Georgia in parentheses. For yours, double check. When I first opened my account, it said Georgia, AL for Alabama, and that's not correct. You'll notice as I edit my region area, look at all these choices: Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Georgia, Georgia, South Carolina. Mine was set like this: Alabama, Georgia. That's not right. Make sure your region is set for Georgia. And once you've picked your FMLS and set your region for Georgia, you can come down to this green button here. It says Save. Lock in your choice. After IDX integration, we have a question about global filters, right? The next item here. When I click on global filters, I'll show you the right answer for most people in the room. For 99% of everybody who's watching this or attending this class, the correct answer under global filters is as follows. Come over here. Notice there's 3 tabs. Go to all listings, and then click this checkbox that says display all listings for my MLS on my website. What we're doing when I lock that in and save it, what we're doing is we're determining what listings are eligible to show up in a property search. And by saying show all listings in FMLS, it means my consumer can come to the website and they can search any price point, any amenity, any location, and it'll come up. Here's what I see happening a lot of times. I'm going to make an example. Don't follow these instructions. Watch. If I go to global filters, a lot of times agents are trying to figure the system out and they find their way to global filters. If I were to go to something like filtered and come in and set a criteria like max price, maybe I'm playing around with it and I say, oh, I know, max price, I'll put that in at $250,000. If I were to set this to $250,000, if I came down here and saved that and locked it in, now my website, nowhere on my website would it show anything more than $250,000, right? No matter what the consumer searched. If you searched a $300,000 price point, it would say, nope, nothing exists. And that's not right. So don't mess with that unless you know what you're doing or have a reason for it. I want to dismiss that change and keep it at wide open. Global filters, all listings, hit the checkbox that says display all listings for my MLS, save it, and you're good to go. Next item is featured listings. Now, featured listings is one of the first areas that we manipulate. We can see the results directly on our website. So as we click through featured listings, we've got a couple of tabs to consider, filtered and specific. What this area here is getting control over, if I go visit my website, this gets control over this section down here, these featured properties right here. If you look at my featured properties now, you can see that I've got some awesome listings on my website. $48 million, $18 million, $17.5, and a $15.8 million listing. And what's happening is the way that this IDX works is it will always show the listings based on your featured listing criteria from highest price point in descending order from left to right. And so if you go over here and you look at my featured properties section, if I come back over here to my toolbar and go to featured listings here, I don't have anything set. I have nothing set. So what's happening is it's showing all the listings. It's showing the top 4 highest priced listings in FMLS in descending order. And that's why I'm seeing these particular listings. So the idea here is you got to get control of it. I would love to sell a $48 million listing, but realistically, it would do better for me to put listings in here that matched my market demographic or were specific listings that I owned or wanted to showcase. Question, go ahead. Real quick.
I'm so sorry. I was cruising along,
Yep.
I was running, and then all of a sudden, it's logged me out and saying it's asking, I was just completely sign in, email and password, and I'm
Okay, yeah, when you get that, just close the page and go back into mykw.kw.com. Close that one out.
I was on there.
Yeah, it happens. Yep, and then log out of KW. Yep, actually log out and then log back into KW and work your way through it. And that's an interesting point. Sometimes the system just boots you out for whatever reason. And Placester sells templates to consumers, right? I mean, to other agents besides KW, not to consumers. There's a retail edition of Placester. You can go to Placester.com if you wanted to with your credit card, create an account, and pay for Plaster's service. And that was the login that you were going to. When it kicked you out, it was trying to take you to Placester.com. You can't log into the system at Placester.com. because we use not a retail edition, we use a specialized Keller Williams edition, only accessible through mykw.kw.com. You've got to go into mykw.kw.com, click on the toolbar, and then click on go to my website. That portal, that's the only way you can get there. So that's why that wasn't working, and it never will work. Yeah, exactly. So you're in good shape. So the idea here is I want to get control over these listings, and I'm going to give two scenarios. One scenario would be that I'm an agent that has no inventory, and I just want to get some criteria up here, and it's something better than a $48 million listing that represents my price point and geography. So I'll use this tool here to get control of that. Here's where we are, featured listings, right there, yep. So I'll click on featured listings, and to just have a pipeline of listings based on criteria, not specific listings, I'm going to click on filtered listings, and I'm going to use this to define some criteria. I can come in here, I can say, how about a max price? As much as I would love to sell a $48 million house, I'm going to try and reel this in to my price point, geography, and niche. And what would y'all say a good max price would be in Sandy Springs for good generic? Yeah. Where would you put it at? 2 million, 1.5 million? What'd you say?
I have mine in a million.
In a million? Let's put a million in. I would put 1.5 million in. You don't have to put any commas or dollar signs or anything. Straight integers, all you need. It'll put all that in there for you. So I've set the max price now at 1.5 million. And if I were to save it now and go look, here I go. I've saved it. I'm going to come back up to my website. Now, I still show the $48 million listing because this page is now stale, right? I made changes to it. I need to recycle the page. Here we go. I'm going to recycle that page. And now I should see the updated version. And now I'm seeing the 1.5 million price point.
I'm sorry, did you say you have to put in the comments and stuff?
You do not. Just put straight integers in, and it'll put all the commas and dollar signs in for you. So just numbers. Now the trouble is that while I've got the right price point, I don't have the right geography. I'm still really big all over across FMLS. So I'm not really done here. Even though I've got the right price point, I'm going to come back and I'm going to drill into my featured listings, and I'm going to consider some geography here. There's my max price, 1.5. And if I wanted to add, right here, add search criteria, I can choose, this pull down allows me to establish some additional criteria. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for something geographically based. Here they are. Street, neighborhood, city, state, zip, county. If I wanted to, I could set a county value. I could come here and put on the county. Watch what happens right here when I click on add. It's going to add it as a new criteria right here. And I could start typing in county names. I could put in Fulton if I wanted to. I could put a comma there and then keep typing. I could add an additional. And notice as I'm starting to type it, Cobb, I don't know if you saw, but as I'm typing it, it starts to suggest, auto-suggest. See, there's the COB. These are coming from FMLS because my website is connected to FMLS. So I can just do COB. There it is, Cobb. I could keep adding more counties if I wanted to. I'm just going to put those two in there for now. Now watch what happens when I search that. It shows that I had 14,529 listings that matched this criteria, 1.5 million in Fulton and Cobb. So if I were to commit that, if I were to save that, and then come back up here and look at my website, I'm going to refresh the page again and come look at it. And so now what's happening is I got the right price point and I've got the right geography. I guess the right geography is what I wanted, was Cobb and Fulton County. There was 14,000 listings that matched that criteria, remember? There's only 4 tiles, though, up here. This particular template can only show 4 featured listings. So what's happening is those 14,000 listings that I came up with are now being pipelined into these area right here, and the highest price from descending order, left to right, is coming up. Now, I know these say $1,500 each. For the life of me, I've not been able to figure out how the system determines which 1,500 is going to put first. I've had all kinds of suggestions. People said, it's the MLS number, it's the entry date, it's alphabetical to the street name, and none of that has proven out. I think it's randomized. So if there's the same price, I'm not sure how it figures out which listing to show first. But when there's a difference in price, the highest price will always be at the left in descending order. So these 4 listings show out of that 14,000 that I made, if the Marietta Road got sold, this one would come off and the next one would come up and take its place. Look at this. Back over here at featured listings, we're working under filtered listings. Here's my criteria, 1.5 million, and I said Fulton and Cobb. I did a search and I got 14,000 listings. That's where my pipeline's coming from. These 14,000 are being fed right into those 4 tiles. If I changed my search criteria and said, you know what, maybe Fulton and Cobb is too wide of a search, I could just get rid of that. And I could add a different type of location. Maybe I want to do a neighborhood. Maybe I want to add my neighborhood, for example. Can y'all call out a neighborhood?
Midtown.
What was it?
Midtown.
Midtown? Okay. I'll put Midtown in. I'm going to search that. My 14,000 turned to 309. So there's 309 listings that match the criteria of 1.5 million and the neighborhood called Midtown. Now, what is the neighborhood Midtown? Well, this is pulling from FMLS, right? So you guys know FMLS better than I do. If there's a neighborhood, apparently there is a neighborhood called Midtown in FMLS, and that's what it's pulling. So those 309, if I go here and I save that, and then come back and look at my website, we're going to see it change again. And now it's showing the 1.5 in Midtown, and that's what I think of when I think of Midtown. That looks just like Midtown, of course, right there. If you did a neighborhood, you did a condominium name. A lot of times you do that in MLS. You'll find for neighborhood, it would be the name of the condo. You would then be showing just condos. You could do that for Midtown. The price is in descending order, $1,400, $1,395, $1,374, $1,373. Feels like I'm on Price is Right, calling those out that way. But so there they are. There's those 4 of the 309 are now being pushed in there. So if Peachtree Street Northeast, 1065 Peachtree Street Northeast gets sold, that'll come off. This one will slide over, and the next one in the pipeline will come in. You follow that? So you can play around with the search tool.
If none of those sell and they come to this site tomorrow, will those 4 still show?
It'll be, yep, those 4 will still be there tomorrow if none of those sell. Now, if something new gets on the market, like if you're looking at this page here, and let's say something came in between $1,395 and $1,374, then it would push this one off. This one would come over in the middle, and it would come into the middle. The new listing would show up in the middle. It's dynamic. It would show each time you reload the page, it would be up to date according to MLS.
What county is it coming? Somebody has a call?
Foresight.
I didn't know. Glad you had to answer. All right, so featured listings, when you don't have inventory and you're just trying to get a pipeline of listings to come in, there's a ton of criteria that you can use. I say a ton. All the criteria that you can use is found right here. So you could set it up according to these things. Take a look at them when you have a chance. You can add as many of those criteria as you want and filter it as aggressively as you want. There we go. There's my 309 that are pipelined into my 4 tiles. Let's say that you're in another scenario, though, where you're an agent and you actually have inventory that you want to feature. Let's go to featured listings again. And this first scenario we followed was featured listings. Now, if we want to get specific about a particular group of inventory, we're going to go over here to this specific tab right next to it where it says specific listings. When I click on specific listings, look at my tool, how it changed a little bit. It's got some different regions now. In the top middle, I've got a search criteria. In the bottom left, I've got a search result column. And then over here on the right, I've got a selected listings column. The way this works is whatever I search up here on the top shows up in this column on the left. And then whenever I move to the right over here, whatever I move to this right-hand column is what's going to be pinned onto the front of my website as a showcase listing. Let me show you how it works. I'm going to remove these criteria. They're not useful to me now. And because I'm trying to be very specific, I'm going to role play as if I'm a listing agent who's got inventory. Now, I'm not in real life. Don't even have an FMLS ID. Watch this, though. I'm going to play around with some bodies. If I come down here where it says add search criteria, I'm going to add a criteria to my search tool. I can come below all these things, and down here I have the option to add an agent ID. I'm going to add that to my search criteria. Now there it goes. If my website is connected to FMLS, then that means the agent ID it needs is my FMLS username, right? If your website is connected to Georgia MLS, then the agent ID would be your Georgia MLS ID. In this scenario, I'm role playing. I'm going to use Lisa Vale's ID because she's got inventory all the time. She said I could use her ID. And her username for FMLS is VTeam. So if I put her username, doesn't need her password. All it needs is her username. And if I hit search, focus your attention over here on the bottom left. When I hit search, it's now going to show me, there they are, her 11 listings. Those are her 11 because look at my search criteria. The only criteria I defined was Lisa Vale's username at FMLS. So therefore, her 11 show up over here on the left-hand side.
So how do we know what our username is?
It's the same one you use to log into FMLS. Yep. So look at your agent sheet that they gave you.
Gotcha.
So the deal here is to get the listings on the left column moved over to the right-hand column, because whatever I put in the right-hand column is what's going to show up on my website. There is a bug in the system. I'll show it to you now. It's the add all section, unless they fixed it. And I'm always curious to see. It's tempting to say click add all. In fact, in my video, I do click add all. And let's see, if I click add all, what happens? Okay, the bug is happening. Did you see how it moved everything over, but then it graded out? That's actually significant. If you look right here, it says right there, items that are gray are no longer, well, how do they say it? Listings that have gone off market will appear gray in the selected listing box. A listing is off market if it's sold, expired, or unavailable, generally speaking, to be displayed. So it's just a bug that does that. I have no idea when you click add all why it thinks that those are off the market, because they're actually not off the market. I'm going to remove them from this list. Watch if I do it. If I come over here and just click on one and then move it over, it holds. Ooh, that one didn't. Oh, make me a liar. Let's try that one. Oh my goodness. Tell me this thing isn't going haywire, y'all.
Looks like it's going haywire.
Oh, that one's saved.
No.
These might be going off market. Maybe those might be legitimately grayed out, but these are starting. There we go. Those are holding. So that it's very possible that those are legitimately going off the market for some reason. Maybe they're under contract, something like that. You can also just double click on a listing and it'll move it over. You don't have to just click the listing and say add. You can come over here and you can double click on it, which is what I'm doing now. For the rest, I'm just double clicking on those and getting them over. And I'm going to move all my listings over there. Page 2, you got more up there. You almost got away, but we found you. Okay, double click that one. And so now, I don't know, I lost count. However many listings I got moved over that are in black are going to show up on my website. So I'm going to save that and go look at my website. And of course, the page is now stale because I've made changes, so I need to refresh the page. And now, hopefully, we're looking at, yep, I recognize these. These are Lisa Vale's listings. So we moved over about 8, I think. This template only has room for 4, remember? So it picked the highest price of those 8 and put them out there. Remember, there's about 8 different templates you can pick from. This is the Madison template. The Plymouth template, when you get to the featured properties, that actually can hold 12 listings. So each template has little differences between them. We're going to get into templates here in just a few minutes. So if you wanted to show more than 4 featured listings, you might have to think about using a different template. If you love the Madison template and you said, okay, I love the Madison template, I'm going to show my listings, but only 4 of my listings are showing up, and I promised all 8 of my clients that I would make sure their websites are showing, their web, their homes are showing up in my featured properties, then you're going to be in a pickle, right? You'd have to kind of rethink that and have to understand that that's a limitation of the template. This template, Madison, only has 4 tiles. So if you make a promise like that, you may have to get creative, change your template over, or do something creative. Give me a call. Get on my schedule.
If you wanted to make sure your own listing showed up, at least, how do you make sure yours show up or yours show up first?
Well, if you
Is it always going to sort by the price?
It is. So if you come over here to featured listings, and actually, you know what? This is new. I think this came up with the new dashboard where it says default sort. So you can see where you can do it by highest or by lowest. So I do need to stand corrected. I saw that the other day. I was like, oh, look, they've added a default sort. And I was kind of an autopilot earlier when I was preaching that it's always in descending order. They have added this default sort. So I do stand corrected. You can pick through just these criteria right here. So you could say houses with the most images are prioritized, or the lowest price to highest, or the highest price to lowest. So you can flip those around. But in a case where you're under, irregardless of that discovery there, when you're under specific listings, if you want to show your houses to make sure your houses are showing up, then you want to make sure that they're over here to the right. And if you add more than, and think about your template, if you're on the Madison and you know it only holds 4 listings, and you move over 4 of your listings and 4 of your buddies' listings, then you're going to need to be thinking about price and make sure that your houses are higher priced. You wouldn't want to put your buddies' listings on there because it can only accommodate 4. You see what I'm saying? So you'd have to think that through. Consider this. Watch this. This may help you too. Watch what I do. Remove all. Remove those. I'm going to come in. Let's say that I did. Usually, P. Simone. She usually has just a handful of listings. This is Phyllis Simone. I'm going to do a search. Oh, nothing going on with Phyllis right now. Let me go back and do V-Team, and I'll run through a scenario here. Watch this. So V-Team, let's pretend for just a minute that instead of 11 listings, let's say she only had 2 listings that were on the market, right? So pretend like you only see 2 listings over here. And if let's say it's these 2 right here. So I'm going to move those 2 over. And there we go. So let's move those 2 over. And let's pretend like that's the only 2 listings she has. Well, if I come over here and save, and then look at the website, watch what happens to my 4 tiles. I've only got 2, right? Okay, see ya. We'll talk to you soon. It leaves a deficit there. There's room right there, right? It's only showing those 2 because I only moved 2 over to the right-hand side. There they are. Now, what are those priced at? 320 and 305, okay? So let's say I did this. Let's say I went over and took V-Team out, and let's say I added a search criteria for, let's say I did city. Let's say I put in, trying to get expensive here, but let's say I'll do Sandy Springs. And let's say I added max price, and I put in 400,000. Now when I hit search, it shows 200 listings matched Sandy Springs and 400,000 max price. The 2 that I already had pinned up were still there, and I could go over here and I could add some more listings, right? So if I went over here and I added Johnson Ferry, nope, no good. That one's no good. Oh my goodness, come on, killing me. I'm trying to find one that's good. Wow. I didn't mean to remove them all. I can't believe these aren't active. Why are you showing these to me if they're not active? Finally, that one's active, and that one's active. All right. And I accidentally deleted Lisa, so let's get hers back up there. V-Team. Oops. Add. and put V team in. This is none. V team. All right, let's try to get those in that we had. I think that was one. And let's put in that one. All right, so there's 4 listings. There's 2 of Lisa's, and then there's these other 2 that are in that max 400,000 price range. So if I go over here and refresh the page, here we go. There's 2 of Lisa's. It moved them over, and it put those higher priced ones over here. And if I kept adding higher priced ones, it's going to knock her out. So if I go over here to featured listings, come back over here and take that out and put in Sandy Springs.
But when you hit remove, like you just did, it
Mhm.
doesn't remove those houses off. Like you hit remove under the specific criteria.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here? No, those are when I'm hitting remove. It's just taking the search criteria out as I'm searching against this left-hand column. I see your question, but it leaves these that are pinned up. That stays up there. Yeah, that's a great observation. So if I go over here and put in city, add that, put Sandy Springs in, and go back to the 400,000 max price. Add, put 400,000 in. Kind of getting crazy with my numbers there. There we go. Now if I search those, and let's say that I said, you can't do add all because there's a bug in there, but let's say I just said, I'm going to put in a couple more listings. Oh my goodness, here we go, where they're not active. Go to page 6 and see if any of these will go over. There we go. There's one that went over. We get another one over? Yep, there we go. If I start adding these over here, then it's going to knock hers out. Watch, when I recycle the page, hers are going to go away. Even though they're on the right-hand column, it only has room for 4, so it's going to show the 4 highest price. So now Lisa Vale's got knocked off, and higher price listings that I specified are in the 4 positions.
So on her home page, even though it shows 4,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way to hit an arrow and have more brought up.
Correct. This template is the Madison template.
Right there, it says view more listings.
Well, that takes you to a brand new search. If you view more listings, it starts your search adventure over again from scratch. That's not what you thought. Yeah, I know when you look at it, you think, oh, it just expands the results, but it doesn't. No. Yeah. So other templates, in just a minute, we're going to start looking at other templates. If I kept that search criteria the way it is right now, I think Lisa's listings are pushed down to like position 5 and 6. If I change the template to a template that has 12 tiles or 9 tiles, you'll see hers going to resume or going to restore. They'll be back up there. It's just a limitation of the template.
So it's best to pick a template that has as many as.
Well, it depends on how many featured listings you're trying to do. I mean, if you don't have listings, it doesn't matter as much. If you're carrying more than 4 listings, you might need to think that through. Yeah. Well, let's keep pushing on, y'all. I feel like we have spent about twice as much time on featured listings that's been budgeted, and so we're gonna lose out.
Question on specific listings.
Okay.
If you have zip codes and then also counties, is it only going to use those zip codes within those counties, or will it
Right.
use all of the counties? So
You're
I should
correct.
take out, if I'm going to use counties, I should take out all the zip codes.
I would. Yep. I would leave it just counties. I think that's the better choice there.
You hit on the theme selection just real quick.
Well, that's actually what we're going to talk about next. So, yep, we're just going straight on down it. All right, so let's switch gears, stop talking about featured listings for now. If this just went over your head and you're having trouble, if you're not getting the results, perfect example of getting on my schedule. I'll help you nail down the featured listings to fit your needs. Let's talk about theme selection right here, where you can actually choose through different templates. Right here, it's showing me my templates. Right now, I'm on the Madison template. This is the KW template created by Placester. There's 8 templates to choose from. This is number 7 of 8. That's also, by the way, the default template. So if you just launched your website, or if you've not made changes to your template selection, they start you out on the Madison. You can thumb through and look at different templates here. Madison Metro, number 8 of 8. Differences between Madison and Madison Metro are very minor. It's in terms of how some of the lettering is positioned. They're just very finite changes. But as you flip through the rest of these templates, you'll see there are pretty big changes. Plymouth, very popular template. This is the one that St. Lucie Home Sale uses, the Plymouth. This one's got room. You can't see it, but below here it's got room for 9 or 12 featured properties. We'll play with that in a second. The Fremont is the next one over. So you can flip through and get a preview of these templates. And as you're flipping through, they all have a color swatch that allows you to choose general highlights and color. So if I come over here and I choose I'll do the Madison again. If I'm on the Madison and I choose green, you'll see how it's changed the banner to green with green buttons and green highlights. If I choose orange, the same treatment happens. So it just highlights those areas, blue for example. If I put myself on the Plymouth, which is number 1 of 8, I'll let you see the results of it here. If I hit save and come back over to my website, it's still showing Madison at the moment, but I'll change it. I'll recycle the page. And now it's coming up as Plymouth. One of the things I like about the Plymouth is the property search is no longer in the middle of my main image. They move it down below. I kind of like that. Some people argue, though, it's below the fold, right? It's below the viewable area of your website. When you land on the page, you don't see a search right away. So one argument against that is to say, well, wait a minute, I want the search up here where people see it immediately. I kind of like the aesthetics of it being below. And then as we get down to featured properties, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look, Lisa Vales have showed up again. 7, 8, 9. This is, I think, 9 is what this one can hold. So the templates all have little different characteristics. So I didn't go make changes to my featured properties. I just changed the template, and you can see this one has more squares, so therefore I was able to get more of my selected listings to show up. So you can play around with the templates. Notice I ended up with a white background up here, so I lost a lot of my lettering. If you'll remember, go back over here to my theme selection. I was on Madison, and I was using red. As I hit save, recycle the page, see I get my logo and stuff shows up again, right? All that's visible. But when I go over here to the the Plymouth again, notice how the banner up here is white. So it's something you got to consider. We'll talk about how to fix that. If I save it and go look, you might have to do a little bit of adjustment. Watch when I recycle it, I'm going to lose my logo because the logo is still there. It's just white lettering on a white background. So it didn't really disappear. It's still there. You just got to deal with that. We'll learn today how to change your logos over to accommodate situations like that in just a minute. But meanwhile, you can continue looking at the different templates. If you look at Madison, Madison has the choice for Madison, the color swatches, and then Madison is one of the few templates that actually lets you change your banner background colors. So if I come over here and change it to a white background and save it, here's the Madison with a white background and red lettering. My logo is missing. It's actually right there, but it's white lettering, so you can't see it. If I come back and change my Madison background to a full colored background, doesn't matter what color I choose. I could make it gray if I wanted to. But as long as I've got this checkbox here, then it's going to give me a full colored background. Recycle the page and you'll see the treatment there. It'll change it around. There you go. So now I've got Madison with a gray background. Madison is one of the only, Madison and Madison Metro, the only ones that allow you to get a colorful background in the banner. All the rest of them are all white, no matter what you choose, Plymouth or Fremont or Phoenix. So you get to play around with that and figure out which one of those you like. So you just change to a different template, hit save, and then go evaluate it and see what you think about it. The Madison has the option to add a statement over your slideshow. And I want you to see what that looks like real quick just so you know. Here is an example of a statement. Now if I save this and go look at my template, here it comes. You can see what they've done here. There's my example of a statement right there. I don't particularly care for that. I think it has the potential to get lost kind of in the mix. You can see right there where even the H is hard to see. Here is an example of a statement. Down here is a caption. Captions are in the bottom left-hand corner. And in a minute, when we start talking about the slides, you'll learn how to add captions. I think if you want to put lettering on these images, I think the captions usually do better. Most of them have a dark background behind them, and they show up a little bit better than the statement. So if you want to put a statement in there, totally up to you. Theme selection here. You can get Madison's the only one you can actually control that right here, number 4. I like to take that out. I think it just gets lost. All right. So I'll let you play around with your theme selections on your own. If you got questions about that, let me know. Let's move on to slideshow, where now you can get control over the image that's showing up. And in my case, these are some custom images I did. In just a moment, you'll recognize. There you go. There's my image. For y'all, if you haven't defined a custom one, you'll start out down here. This is what you'll start out with. When you come to this area of the toolbox, of the tool set, you'll see a default. And this is the first standard slideshow that they give you. You can flip through and see previews of the slides. It'll come through. There's 5 slides for each show. This one's called default. If I keep on coming down, there's another one called interiors. These are courtesy of Placester. Again, there's 5 slides in this presentation. There they are. You can kind of thumb through and see them. There's a luxury properties one. There's a mid-priced homes presentation. If I want any one of these, and then there's a nature one. So if I find one that I like, I can come over here and maybe I want to do the interiors. I can just hit select and it'll bring me to another page that allows me to look at all 5 slides at one time, or I can make some choices about these slides. So here I'm looking at slide number 1. It's this image, and you can see where it gives me a choice to put a caption if I want to. If I fill out a caption, whatever I write in this caption field, it's going to plant it right here on the bottom left-hand side of the image. So I think that works better than the statement. You can also make these images clickable. I can add a link in here. I could come in here and I could say, for example, maybe, well, I can't think of a good example. I'm just going to put Google in there for a minute. We'll save that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that would make this link, this photo, clickable in just a moment. We'll talk about some examples of what you might do with that.
So that's you've got a single image there.
Mm-hmm.
Does that upload button let you add 2 or 4?
Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. It lets you add 1. It lets you replace this one.
Oh.
So this is slide number 1. Here's slide number 2. There's slide number 3. Right, and if I thought I was happy with all these, and I save it, and go look at my website, I refresh the page here. We should see a change where the treehouse shot is gone, and now I've got the default slideshow, and you can see them sliding over. And if I like those, then that's great. I can leave them the way they are. Remember that first slide I added the link to Google. So watch this. When that one comes around, it's actually clickable. If I click on it, it took me to whatever link I'd set up. So with that in mind, if you're looking at the slideshow, and by the way, as you start looking at these, it can get confusing on which one you're on. I've got these custom ones I've created, and then I've got these down here. Look for the blue circle with the white check to figure out which one you're on. Anytime you modify one of the default slideshows, it spawns a new version of it and writes the word custom. Notice this, I've got interiors custom, and then I've got the original interiors. Just a moment ago, I clicked through here and I had made a change to that slideshow. I made the first slide clickable. What that does is it triggers the system to create or spawn a custom version of that one. This is the one that's in use. This is the one that's got the clickable image at the beginning. So if you make any changes to it, it creates that new one. So what sometimes people will do is they'll trade out the images. They'll say, you know what, maybe instead of putting this image here, maybe I'll put a high-resolution photo of my team here. And in the caption, maybe I'll write, meet the team. And then on the link, maybe I'll make that go to a link that's a biographical page about my team. So when that slide comes across, consumers can click on it and they can view their team. I've had other agents raise their hand in class before and say, hey, you know what is a good use is maybe I will get some photos of my open houses. And I'll upload my photos of my open house here, and on the caption I'll say, click here to view a virtual tour. And on the link, they'll put the virtual tour link for their open house. And I thought that was a great example of using the custom images. So if you want to change out an image, you can. I can delete this image if I wanted to. I think that's the one I want to delete today. Yeah, let's delete that one. And I could replace it. Heck, if I didn't like that image and I didn't have a replacement, I could just stop right here and I could save and turn my 5-slide slideshow into a 4-slide slideshow if I didn't have a replacement image in mind. But if I have a replacement image in mind, I can use this upload button. But I've got to keep in mind this rule right here. It says images must be at least 1600 pixels wide by 660 pixels tall. So you definitely got to keep that in mind. If you think about what 1600 by 660 looks like, it's that letterbox shape that we're trying to fill across the top of your page. So if you took an image that's a square, it was like 600 by 600 is a perfect square, and you upload it, it's going to stretch it, and it's going to look wrong. You're going to know it, right? So if you upload an image that doesn't meet that 1600 by 660, you'll know it. It'll come across grainy and messed up. If you
I'm not a photographer, but when you have somebody take pictures, they can change the size.
They can crop it, they can change it, they can. So you can let them know, you show them on your website if you want to, or let them know, I need these images to be at least 1600 by 660, and that's, you're communicating the photographer's language at that point. They'll know, oh, she's doing some sort of a letterbox shape and make it work.
Is the max then 5 per show?
5 per show is the max. If you upload more than 1600 by 660, let's say your photographer gave you a 3000 pixel high resolution photo, it'll just shrink it perfectly into the footprint on the slideshow. There's not a problem if you go bigger than 1600 by 60. It's only a problem if you're under 1600 by 660. If you ever uploaded an image into a web form that was too small, you notice it gets stretched out, but if you upload an image that's bigger than what they require, it just compresses it down and you don't lose any quality. It's fine. You can do that. So here's the thing about adding images. One of the things that I need to say at every class is emphasize the importance that you have rights to upload and use an image.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did.
I will share a story with you real quick, and that's that at treehousefinder.com I was teaching this class, and somebody said, hey, how do you do a blog post? And I said, oh, well, I'll add it. We had time at the end or whatever, and I said, well, I'll show you. But I didn't have that example ready. So I quickly went over to Treehouse Masters website, which is a show on Animal Planet, and there was a blog for Pete Nelson's show. And I just copied a couple images and some text, and I real quickly just threw it on my website. And I said, here's how you do a blog post. And I showed them. I uploaded the image, and I just copied that text right in there and acted like I typed it for the sake of an example and being quick, you know. And so they thanked me for the example, and I went on and hadn't thought anything of it. And then 6 months later, I get a call from Terry New, from the front desk, and they said, hey, you've been getting letters from Getty Images, and they've been stacking up in your mailbox over here. And I never checked my physical mailbox. So they opened one, and it was initially they were sending cease and desist letters, but they turned into demand letters. And they were demanding $1,600 in fees for usage rights on these images. And they had photographed my website and put it in the demand letter and said, you have illegally used this photo with serial number such and such, very legal, listed, you know. And what had happened was the website that I had borrowed the images from, they had illegally posted Getty images. And so when I copied those images and put them on my website, now I was in violation too. And what's amazing about that is that Getty Images is sitting there, they got the time and resources to scour the internet and look for their images illegally used, you know. So you can't do that. You've got to have permission before you use those images. I actually called Getty and basically begged for amnesty and said, listen, I didn't tell them I was the director of technology. I said, listen, I got to teach this class for my job. It's a demo site. Look at my site. It says demo on it. You know, it's not a production site. I made a mistake. Can you forgive me? Can we just push, you know, they said, we'll get back to you. And they came back and they said, we'll reduce the fee by 50%. And because they said they still had to pay the photographer royalties. And so I had to cover that. So Gene Rawls was nice enough to authorize a check. get me out of hot water. And of course, on that phone call, she said, "Now tell me, how is this going to be incorporated in your classes?" As a public service announcement. So we want to make sure that I share that story with y'all, so you guys can hear how easily you can get in a situation where, you're in a jam.
Online baby boutique,
Mm-hmm.
and I did a WordPress website,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a slideshow like this, and I used images off the internet. It was a beautiful website too.
You might be at risk. So here's some resources you can use to get images. Then maybe you can use this for your website that's at risk. Check this out. So here's where I get images now that I've learned my lesson. One of them is pixabay.com. I think it's a great resource. I love it. Pixabay.
What's that do?
What's this do?
Images.
Gives you free, high-quality images. They got over 1 million free stock photos, vectors, and art illustrations, which is really cool. So you can go in there. They're free. They've got some paid-for stuff, too. The way it works is the higher resolution stuff you got to pay for. But for web development, you don't really need high-resolution stuff. For print, you need high resolution. For web development, low resolution is usually fine. So you can put in keywords like Atlanta,
Yeah, Skyline.
Atlanta skyline. Now, don't get too excited about these up here. Look, these are sponsored. And ironically enough, they're sponsored by Getty Images. So if you just grab these and put them up, you're going to be in trouble. But these are examples of some of the free Atlanta images that they've got.
Is there a place on here you can put the sizes that you need?
There's not. You can't do a search by size, but what you can do, for example, like look at, for example,
Oh, you can too. I just found it.
you can, what'd you find? Oh, right there, the size. I gotcha. Is that what you're talking
I
about?
did it on the main page where it says free high quality
Gotcha.
images.
So you could look at these images here, and when you go to download one, let's say if I was to click on through here, what I was going to say is it gives you a choice. I'm trying to click on it. There you go, where you can do a free download, and so you see the choices here. See the size choices. So if I was going to download this image here, the 1920 by 1271 would fit, and I could download that for free at no price, no cost. Now, 1920 by 1274, if I were to put that into my template, what would happen is the Placester site would automatically crop this, and it would probably crop it in the middle. You'd probably get something like a line going across there, coming down, and then somewhere like right over here. You'd probably get the middle section out of there. So if you wanted this to look good inside of your Placester, you would probably download it on your own and need to manipulate it some, do the cropping yourself, resize it yourself, get it just right before you upload it to Placester. I mean, one thing you could do is just download this image, upload it to Placester, and see how it looks. But I can tell you right now, because of the 1920 by 1271, the way that would relate to 1600 by 660 is you'd end up getting probably a middle section of this would probably be present, and the rest would get cropped out by Placester. So you'd have to kind of play around with that. You can also kind of keep in mind the shape of what you're looking for. So if you're looking at these images here, these probably aren't great candidates. But then when you get to something like this, you see where that's a letterbox shape. It's getting close. Even that's getting close. That would probably work pretty well. So you can play around with those and look for that rectangular shape, and probably be a lot easier than trying to resize a square shape.
Oh, there's a picture of Lake Lanier.
In terms of
One more that they've got is, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
First of all, if like for example, this was an interior or something that we paid a photographer for,
Mhm.
then we own it, right?
Well, that depends on the deal with your photographer. I would assume, right, but you have a contract with them or some sort of agreement, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And if we buy it, like some sponsored picture, we should be sure we can use it commercially. Is that
Exactly. When you go and you buy it from Getty Images, they give you, they'll give you parameters. You can use it without modification. That's sometimes it's a common parameter. So you can't.
Is letterboxing a modification?
It depends on the agreement, but usually, something like that, shaping and cropping is not going to be a problem. But they may not want you to. They may not want you to add your own copyright comment on it or something like that. That kind of modification. Another resource is 123rf.com. They don't have as much for free. They do advertise royalty-free stock photos, but you can find some pretty good deals on images at 123rf.com. I like this one. I think the Pixabay is a little bit better. And then another common place that folks get images is just by going to Google, and I'll show you real quick. If you go to Google and you do a search for, this might have been what you did on your other website. Let's say I did Atlanta skyline.
Yeah.
And I see agents will do this a lot of times. They'll come in and go, okay, cool. I got an image search at Google. Love these. I think I'll pick that one, for example, Well, you're going to get in trouble probably if you were to just grab these images straight off of Google. Chances are these are Getty images. Getty kind of seems to own the world, it seems. But watch this. You can go up and you can modify, not just by clicking on images, but you can come over here to Tools, and then you can change your usage rights filter, and you can do stuff labeled for reuse. And by searching that, it's going to change the results. And these images here are usable. If you're not out of the woods yet, you can't just grab these images and go for it. You still need to figure out, there's usually some conditions and terms behind these images, but these are at least candidate images. For example, if I clicked on maybe this one, oh, that's a Pixabay one. I just saw the link. So with Pixabay, you're not going to have a problem at all, whether you download it straight from there or straight from Pixabay. Let's see, what if we did somebody like, if I click through and view the page. So here is a Wikipedia image. What you would need to do is you would have to figure out the usage rights for Wikipedia. Basically, Wikipedia would tell you that you got to do a citation for the image. Let's see if I can find a Wikimedia one. Those are a little bit easier to read. I'll show you. Let's see if I did. Maybe this one's a. No, that's somebody's actual website there. They're actually using an image. Let's see if maybe this one will do it. Well, those people are just using free images for a minute. How about that? I wanted to see if I could find a Wikimedia version because I like the way they write their terms. I'll try one more down here. If I can't get it, might move on. Still not a good one there. Wikimedia does a really good job. When you actually come up to their web page, it'll tell you exactly what their usage rights are. These here, a little bit more difficult to find. Classic right there. And of course that one's still going to have usage rights on it. So you'd end up at iStock by Getty Images, and you'd have to figure out what their terms are for using that image for free. Sorry, I can't really quickly find a Wikimedia example. For Wikipedia, though, I think that was up here. Wikipedia will let you share it, but you have to give a citation. And what you'd have to do is go look at Wikipedia, and there's a place you can find their terms for sharing their media and make sure you comply to it so you can get away with it. I think these resources are going to be better. I think Pixabay would be better than going to Google, but it just depends on what you're looking for. The bottom line is make sure you've got permission to use those photos before you put them on your website. What's that?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's a spot you can upload to get those images.
Yeah, you just upload. Once you've downloaded that image, you can upload whatever image you want and put it up there. Yep. No, I don't believe they are free. All right. So make sure you got permission before you start using images. Let's push on here for a minute and talk about certifications. This is the certification gallery. You can check through this grid here of certifications. You can pick a maximum of 6 certifications. You can actually click on more than 6, but the first 6 that you click on, starting from up here, left to right, will show up on your website. So you can't add any certifications here. It just has to be some of the certifications that they're displaying. would need to match up to a certification that you have. Most people would say equal housing opportunity would make sense. Everybody in the room could probably add that one. And the NAR right there, National Association of Realtors. And then the rest, you just have to look through. If you own that certification, you can click on it. It'll show a maximum of 6 on your website. Here on my page, if I click on that, you'll see it's going to bring us over here towards the bottom of my website. There they are, down there. So if you click on more than 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it'll show the first 6 from left to right in that grid at the top left to right. So you can pick through your certifications. That's pretty straightforward. Social networks. Social networks here allows for you to activate the social media icons. You probably recognize these social media channels here on the web page: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. And so the way this works is they're allowing you to put your profile, whatever profile you want, to associate with the icon that'll be presented on your website. So what's happening here is for Facebook, we've got facebook.com and then a slash and then something. And in order to figure out what that something is, and in this example I put in KW. I'll show you how I did that. I went into kw.com and I scrolled to the bottom of kw.com, not my kw.kw.com, but kw.com, and down here is the international social media badges, and I just clicked on Facebook, and there's the answer, facebook.com/ and then there it is, Keller Williams Realty. Works for you. If you want to put your profile up there, you can. Just visit your Facebook page and study the address. Look at facebook.com/ and then capture the trailing piece. Now, one reason I put Keller Williams social media up there is because my personal stuff really doesn't make sense to put on my website. My Facebook page is very recreational. My Twitter page is about camping and dirt bikes and stuff like that, And so until I have a business-ready page, the Keller Williams answers provide a very good content if you want to just get social media badges on your website. If you look at this page, you'll notice, excuse me, that it's very well done. It's very much the culture of the company. It's not lead capture. There's no listings. There's no inventory. This is the culture of the company. It's done very professionally. So it's a safe thing to add to your website. If you just want to get the Keller Williams Facebook profile added, then you would supply this trailing answer right here, Keller Williams Realty.
If
Say,
it's in gray on my computer, that means it's not
if it's in gray, what's in gray?
Keller Williams Realty right after the Facebook. There's something inside.
Yep, it's if you see the words Keller Williams Realty, it's already in there. Yeah, if it's not, the blank means it hasn't been answered. Like my Pinterest right there is blank. And by the way, if it's blank, it just won't even show that icon on your website. For Twitter, I went to Keller Williams' website and I clicked on their Twitter badge, and there they are, twitter.com/KWRI. So I got the answer there. I copied that, and I went and I pasted it right here after Twitter. If you want to put your Twitter profile, go visit your Twitter profile, study the address, and look, twitter.com/ and then, like for me, I know mine is S. Hardy. So there's my profile, as promised, me on a dirt bike. And there's my profile, twitter.com/S. Hardy. So if I were to take that and go pop it in to my Placester instead of KWRI, then my personal Twitter would come up. So you see how we're manipulating that? I'm going to go ahead and put KWRI back in there. LinkedIn's a little bit different. Notice they've got kind of a more lengthy string of text in there. So it says company/Keller Williams Realty. Don't let that throw you off. If I went in their LinkedIn and looked at it, if I look at their address, www.linkedin.com, oh, I'm not logged in. If I was logged in to LinkedIn, and you'd be able to see KW's actual link. I forget that LinkedIn does that. You got to be logged in to see the address for a profile. So you'd have to log into your LinkedIn account. But when you log into your LinkedIn account, you better look up there right after linkedin.com, and you should be able to see right after the slash, it'll say something like user / your name, or company / Keller Williams Realty Inc. in this case. That's interesting the way that presented. So here's the answer. If you wanted to put the Keller Williams LinkedIn, it would just be the phrase company/Keller Williams Realty Inc. with dashes in between Keller Williams Realty Inc. For YouTube, I worked it out. It was Keller Williams. That's all you got to put in. For Instagram, it's Keller Williams Realty. I just put those in there just to have some semblance of social media. So if you leave it blank, it won't show up at all. That icon will be missing from your website until you put an answer in. Unfortunately, you can't add additional social media channels. You're going to have to just work with what's up there on the screen and get your information in there. Does that make sense? Yes?
So if I have, this may just seem like a silly question, but yeah, I do have Alicia for a realtor on Facebook. Would you put that in there instead of the Keller Williams Realty thing?
Put the other realtor.
My business website.
Oh yeah, if you have a business
Put
one,
that
absolutely.
over the Keller Williams
I would.
Realty one.
If you've got a business profile, I would definitely. If in your mind you answer the question of, am I ready for people to see my profile? If it's that put together, then go for it. I would definitely put that profile in there. But if you are just starting out and just getting your stuff put together and you're not ready for your LinkedIn profile or Facebook profile to be associated with your business page at Keller Williams, if you got the Dunwoody pub crawl as your main thing on Facebook, you might not want that up there yet. So the Keller Williams is just a good alternative.
Are there ways to link to like Zillow and Zillow reviews?
That would be a custom page. You'd be able to do that. That'd be a good example of getting on my schedule if you wanted to. And we could probably build a certain area on your page and show you how to do it. I've had people in the past ask me they want to put their Zillow reviews up. And so what we've done is just taken a screenshot of their Zillow review, made that as an image, and put that on a custom page. When you click on the image, it takes you directly to the live Zillow testimonies. People like that. We could do something like that. Let's move on down. I'm going to skip search forms right now and jump into menu. This is an area that we definitely want to cover today. And we also want to do site info. So these two will take a little bit of time. Let's look at menu for a minute. The menu, when you click on menu, it gives us a map of all the buttons that are currently on my website's menu right now. I've got home, your home value, about me, listing search, contact, free mobile app. And if I look at my website up here, I've got, there it is, home, your home value, about Scott, listing search, contact, free mobile app. Some of these are built in, like home was built in, but your home value is a custom link that I added. We're going to show you how to do a custom link in just a minute. I put it in there. About Scott was built in, but did you notice that About Scott looks a little different than About Me? About Me, About Scott. The thing that's going on here, here's your first thing to get understanding on the menu, is that these buttons can expand, and when you expand on them, you get to see the label. So first thing I want to learn is the label. Whatever the label is what the button face is going to look like. So even though this is the About Me button that was built in by Placester, I didn't like the way it said About Me. I wanted it to say About Scott. So I expanded on the button, and when I came to it at first, it said About Me. All right, that's how I saw it by default. That's the way it looked. So I came in and I said, I'm going to take the Me out. I'm going to put Scott, because I know that whatever you define the label as is what's going to show up on the button face. So you can get control over those buttons. Listing search is one that's built in. Maybe if I didn't like the word listing search, I could take that. I don't like the tooltip so much. Maybe I change the word listing search to find your next home.
And that's going to be where?
Wherever my listing search, do you see this listing search button right here? I'm about to change it, right? So what I did was I changed the label on it. Yeah, and so if I save that in there and then go look at my page, watch, recycle the page, watch right there. It changed it to find your next home, and it's going to take me to the full-on listing search. So you can change the labels of your buttons by getting in here to menu, and you can find a button that maybe you want to relabel. So the listing search, I didn't like the word listing search, I changed it to find your next home. All right, that's handy. You can mess with that. Later, after we build the area page, we'll come back and I'll show you how to build this menu. But for now, I just want to give you a quick flyby and let you see. Do you notice where first off, I've got a button here called Home. It's right after my free mobile app. There's my free mobile app, and look what really is there, service areas. So again, I've changed the label. That's all that's going on. If I go to this home button, sure enough, there's really my service areas. But do you notice this indentation there? The indentation signifies that these are nested buttons underneath the home button. And so Jasper, East Cobb, Buckhead, those are all indented, and they're represented here. And we're going to learn that in a little bit once we build an area page. But for now, I just wanted to kind of point that out. That indentation signifies a nested menu. What I want to do together right now is I want to work on this free mobile app. Take a look. We're going to add that to our menu. If you look at my webpage at treehousefinder.com, I've got this link up here called Free Mobile App. And when you click on it, watch what happens when you click on it. When I click on Free Mobile App, it takes me to this page here where I can download my mobile app. And what's happening is the mobile app is a piece of software that is designed to run on a tablet or a phone. And what's happened is I've gone to the download link using a computer. And you can't install the software to a computer because it's a mobile app. It's for a phone or a tablet. So if you go to the download link for your app on a computer, you get this page. Had I clicked on that same link using a mobile device, though, it would have begun the download process for the app. It would have started downloading the mobile app right to the tablet or the phone. But instead, you get this page where it's got a couple of activities across the top saying, give me a phone number or text this code to 87778, and the system will send a link to the mobile device so you, in an attempt to get that download started on a mobile device. What's important to understand is that this property search here on the tablet or on the phone is an IDX product. And again, with IDX, that means that the listing agent's contact info is taken out, your contact information is put in place, right? But in order for the app to know that it's your contact info that needs to get put in there, what KW has done is they have serialized this software for every agent. Every agent has your own unique serial number that's incorporated in the download link. In my example, look at my link up here, app.kw.com/4RL3Z1. That's my serial number. And I know it's my serial number because there's a clue right there. It says my name, Scott Harding. If we put your serial number in right here, then it would say your name. And when somebody downloaded the app using the link built off of your serial number, then it would serialize the app to you. And when a consumer downloads your app and they say, oh, I want to know more about this property, contact the agent, it'll contact you instead of contacting me. So before you can put a link on your website, such as free mobile app, you need to figure out what your serial number is so that you can get your custom link put in there so it'll download your app and not somebody else's. Y'all with me so far?
I'm trying to keep up. Getting here.
You know, and I thought I was boring you. No?
This is where I really need to help attention. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go through this. I'm gonna show it to you, and you'll get to see it twice at least. So
Tell me where I should be right now. Where am I right now?
right where you are, watching the screen. Watch the screen for just a minute.
Screen?
Yep.
Okay.
So before you can add a link like this that downloads your mobile app, you got to understand that everybody's got a custom link, a serialized link. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to figure out what your custom link is. Okay? There's an easy tool we've created at rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. If you go to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, you can just watch this right now, or you can do it. And if you go over to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com where it says new agents, you'll notice I've got these different steps for new agents. And step 5 in this pull-down menu is called e-agency, my mobile app introduction. And that's what we're talking about, is the my mobile app. Right? So if I click on step 5, it's going to bring me to this page that describes the mobile app. If you don't know about the mobile app, this is a good page for you to read in general, just to learn about the app and its capabilities and how it works. There's a nice video. But if you scroll down, keep scrolling down, there's a section that I wrote called Where to Find Your Agent Code. It's the same as your serial number. And you'll see this big graphic image right here. If you lost?
Oh, what's the number 2?
Keep scrolling down.
Oh,
Keep going.
I see it.
Yep. And so if you will just click on that big image, anywhere on that image, this image right here on the screen, the one that features a QR code, if you just click on that, the tool will jump over to the control panel inside of KW, and it'll take a minute. Everybody will get this white page for a second while it's drilling in. And it should come up and bring you right into the control panel for your mobile. There it is. Mine just popped up.
I'm on the white page, step 5.
Let's see what you got. There you go down. Oh, there you go. Click on that little link right there. Yep, just anywhere on it. And what you'll get is a page that should come up that features some details about your mobile app. Says my mobile app link. There's my link. There's my text code. There's my agent code. This is my serial number for my app right there. There's my download link right there. I could copy that link and paste it into an email and send it to anybody and say, hey, click here to download my app. Or I could copy that link right there and text it to somebody if I wanted to. That is my personal link. And notice how my serial number or my agent code is incorporated in the back end of it right there. See that? And so if you're looking at your page, you should see this link right here that you can copy. Hold on to for a minute. If you copy that, if you want to test to make sure that it's your app, copy that link and paste it into a new browser window, right? Just like this, paste it, and look to see that your name is associated with it. Look for your name right here.
I got the copy part, but now I don't know where to go.
Paste it into a new window. Go to a new window, and in the address bar, paste that address. And it's got your name on it, so you know it's yours. So you know you have found the correct serial number. Okay. By the way, the QR code is up there on the screen. You can actually save that QR code and use that in your marketing. So copy that link. Okay. Open a new page. And then paste that in the address. Right. Oh yeah, that'll work. Yeah, paste. Yeah, you got it. That's right. And then hit enter. And just verify that your name comes up. So you know you've got the right link. We've got your. So hold on to that for a minute. We're going to use that in just a minute.
Hold on to it right here where I am.
Yeah, just stay where you are for a second. If you wanted to, you could copy this image. You can put that on the back of your business cards, put them on your sign riders, put them on your flyers. I mean, while you're here, might as well grab that QR code if you like that sort of stuff. And somebody with a QR reader would be able to beam that code and download your app directly to their phone. So imagine for a minute.
Takes you to that same website.
Yeah, it does. Everybody gets a custom QR code too. So
You can just copy and paste that too.
just right click on it and save it onto your computer hard drive and use it and just keep on holding on to it for your marketing. Imagine if you had a flyer, a just listed flyer, and at the bottom it had all your contact information plus the QR code, and people walking through the neighborhood taking a flyer out of the, off the sign like they do as they walk their dog, and then they got the flyer on their dining room table later that night, and they're sitting there looking at it and they see the QR code and decide to beam it. You could potentially get somebody you don't even know could be downloading your app to their phone. Who knows where that will lead to? It's very possible. So that's just a little extra tip to say, hey, while you're here, you might as well grab that QR code, put it to work for you at some point. Put it on the back of your business card. Put it on, go graffiti tag the neighborhood. Don't write anything about what it is. Just put the QR code up there. People will be curious and they'll beam it. I'm just kidding. But anyway, back on track. Now that we've figured out your link, here's what we're going to do with it. We're going to go back up to our Placester, find your Placester control panel. Mine's up here. See if you can find your Placester control panel. And we want to work in our menu here. Here's where we want to be. Save that for a second. Remember this area right here? This edit area that we've been working in, the site design? I'll give everybody a second to get back to this page. Raise your hand if you're not with us.
I can't get out of this newest configuration.
Okay, let's take a look.
I'll just sit there on that.
Yep, you can hit save. Go down. Save it. All right, so then click on menu right there. We're going to work in menu. Find it.
I'm here.
Okay. So what we'll do is we're going to add that new button.
Oh, I have this one.
So here we're going to go to menu. And here's how we add that button with a link. Remember, we've copied that link. Our computer's holding on to that link right now because we copied it. And what we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way down the bottom of your menu map to where you get to where this add button is. Don't click the add button just yet. Before you click on the add button, you've got to click right here to this little downward arrow that says home. Watch on my screen. Watch what happens when I click this downward arrow. Ready? Here we go. When I click on it, it's going to produce this pop-up box. For me, my pop-up box is going to have more things probably in it than yours does. That's okay. Here's what's coming up in this pop-up box. These are all the different things, objects in your website that you could add to your menu. It could be resources. It could be custom pages. In my case, it's a lot of custom pages that I've just played around with. Any custom page I've ever created is showing up here. But here's where we want to focus right now. Because we're trying to add a link, look down here at the very bottom. All the way down, there's one called custom URL. That's what we're looking for right now, is custom URL. When you find the custom URL, click on custom URL, and then click add. Alicia's got it. She's putting it together over there. Notice what happened. I said, yep, add. Now I've got a custom URL. And it's already opened up, and they want me to put a label, a URL, and a tooltip. We already know what a label is. We already figured that out, right? The labels, whatever you type in the labels, what's going to show up on the face of the button, right? Remember that? So what is this? This is a mobile app download, right? So we want to come up with something that makes sense for the user when they see that button on our toolbar. So you could say something like free mobile app. That would work. Maybe you could do free property search app. Maybe you could do
I think I like that.
GPS search tool, search app. It is GPS based. It's awesome. I know that when we were shopping for our house, we never went out into the neighborhoods without our app, because the greatest thing about it is you're standing there and of course you got your list of things you want to see that day, and sure enough somebody's got a sign in the front yard of a house that looks cool and you didn't research it last night and you want to know about it. Pull the app out, turn it on, and because it's GPS based, the first listings that show up are closest to you. So if you're standing in the front yard of a house and you pull it up, next thing you know, you're looking at the photos, the price, you know that you know everything.
Property search app is good, or do you think I need to have GPS?
Oh, I'm just coming up with crazy stuff there. I would say something short and sweet is good. Free gets people's attention. Free search app is good. I'm going to put a number 2 behind mine
Really fun.
because I've already got it on there and I want to be able to show the new one in just a minute when we talk about it. So for me, I'm going to put free search app and then put a number 2 behind it so I can easily show, because I think I've already got one already in my
Do you
toolbar.
think property's too wordy?
Nah, that's fine. You can always go back and change this.
Okay. All right, got it.
So label we know. URL, I wonder if you connect the dots. We've already figured that out. That was what we did last step when we went through all that trouble of figuring out what our link is.
That number?
Yes, we're going to paste. It's not just the number though. It's the whole entire URL.
So we've got to paste that.
So we're going to paste what we figured out in the last step. We're going to paste that here in this URL field. I'm going to go in here and right click and I'm pasting.
Uh-oh.
If you lost it, no big deal. You can go back and find it again. Remember how we did that?
No.
There's my link. Copy that. Don't worry about it. We'll come by in just a second.
Go back to the top.
Copy. And then paste that answer. It's going to be a great website.
This is the part that I'm not, how do we bring that down? Judges and posts. That's all I have.
What I think you didn't know is the keystroke. It's this.
I don't know. I got to.
Plant your thumb and then add your 2 fingers together. Paste. That's a right click in that. And it's like kung fu. You got to practice it.
Why can't we just have the old fashioned mouse?
You can also do option click. There you go. Control click is the same as a right click. See that? You hold down the control, hold that button, and just do a normal click. Yeah. There you go. There you go. And then paste. There's your answer. You got it in there. All right, so you got the URL and you got the label. That's all you need really to get this button built. But there's a third question about tooltip, and I'll show you. I don't care for the tooltip, but I'm going to put in an example just so you can see it. I don't recommend it, but it just looks outdated. But here we go. I'm going to say browse tons of listings right from your phone. Right, cheesy as it can be. All right, so now I've got a label, I've got a URL that's serialized to me, and I got a tooltip. I am going to save this information down here with this green button, lock it in, and then I'm going to go test drive it on my website.
Did you see you hit add?
No, save. Scroll down and hit save. Yep. So now if I go to my website, of course I'm going to refresh my page. I should now have a new button come up. Free search app 2, there it is. Free search app number 2. That's what I just created. Now I had two motives for going through this exercise with you today. One is it's valuable to have your mobile app linked to your website because it's a powerful tool. It's a legit tool. But number two is there's a bug that I want you to experience when you're modifying the menu and adding links. And so I want y'all to see that bug so you know how to get around it. It's not specific to adding the link for your mobile app. Anytime you paste a link, you run into this bug pretty much. Watch this. If I click on free search app, and watch, it'll work. About 90% of the time it fails. Let's see. And it failed. Okay, nothing happened, right? Big letdown. I clicked on free search app 2 and nothing. Now, when I've got a room full of people, I usually ask how many people did it work for. About 60% of the people say it failed. 40% or so say, yeah, it worked for me. Watch what's happening. This is going to make sense when you see it. Watch, if I go back to my menu, look at this. Here's the bug. Where's my item? There it is. Free search app 2. Look at this. What's happened? URL fell out of that. Is that crazy? Y'all saw me paste it in there, but it fell out. Took me forever to figure this out, by the way. So here's the deal. Here's the workaround. Anytime you're adding an external link, a URL, a custom URL to the menu, be aware of this little bug, and here's the easy fix. Watch this. I'm going to paste my link back in there. I'm going to paste it again, and here's the fix. You can delete the last character. The last character of my link happens to be well, in this case it was a slash. It may be a number. Really, it's just a number.
Mine's a letter.
Yeah, yours is the letter. So what you're going to do is take the last character, just delete it, and then retype it in. So watch, I zoomed in just now on the screen so you can see a little bit better. Maybe. Well, that didn't work out so well. All right, there it is. So what I'm going to do is go to the last letter. Here it is, 3Z1. I'm going to take that out. If it's a capital letter, then type it as a capital letter again. All I've done is deleted it and then retyped it. And then when I save it, it'll solve that issue. Why, I cannot explain. But now if I go back to my website or recycle the page and try my free search app number 2, sure enough, it pops up, takes me to my download app for my app. And if I go back and if I look at my menu and look down here at my search app, sure enough, there it is, it held. Simply by deleting the last character and retyping it. That holds it in there. That's not specific to the search app. It's any link you add, you've got to do that. Y'all ready to move on? Anybody lost?
I have just a quick question.
Mm-hmm. What's up?
So on my site, it says download my app.
Okay.
And right next to it is the free property search app. Is that right? Have both of those on there?
You're going to probably want to remove one of those.
I was going to say, I don't need that.
No, somebody must have added that. I know you've been on a call with me before, and I think we might have added that together. So we want you to remove just one of them.
Okay.
Just pick one. Yeah, no big deal. Not a big deal at all. All right, so the menu. We're going to come back to the menu when we do the area page and wrap up at the end. And I'll show you some more about building the nested menu for area pages. But for now, let's switch gears and go to site info. There's some key things we need to get through here. So let's click on site info. And it's going to bring us to several topics. A brand is the first area of focus, this brand here, with then our contact details and our office details. So we're going to work through this form here, starting with brand. When I talk to agents, a lot of times I feel some frustration coming through about the brand name and tagline. What do I type for a brand name and tagline? My answer to that is that I think it doesn't matter so much what you type here. I think what's more important is that you understand where the brand name and where the tagline show up on your website and how the fonts are treated. And then you can use these, manipulate these to however you want. So don't worry about trying to come up with a world-class brand name or tagline right now. For right now, learn where these two things show up. And so for brand name, I've got welcome to www.treehousefinder.com. There it is right there. So now you kind of get a landmark sort of on the website of where the brand name text shows up. Because you're, oh, I thought somebody was falling off a ladder back there, y'all. Wow. Okay. It sounded like somebody hitting the rungs, you know. But anyway, because your move matters is my tagline, look where it is. It's right here below. There it is. Your move matters. So whatever I type here is going to be treated with this smaller font and a bolder font. I know that whatever you type here, it'll take up to 3 lines wrapped. I know that from just experimenting with it. Not that I suggest putting that much in there, but you can play around with this a little bit. Wow, that's really tough. So if you're not sure what to put in here, you can see that what I did decide to put was welcome to www.treehousefinder.com, because to me it made sense. I mean, Treehouse Finder really is, in this scenario, my brand, right? It says everything, so it made sense to me. And I think putting your web address is a good answer. If you don't know what your web address is right now, if that's something that you and I are going to need to talk about, which is a very common consultation, hey, help me come up with a branded domain name. I'm happy to have that conversation with you if you get on my schedule. But if you are not far enough along where you know what you're going to use for a domain name, what you could do for now, just to get through this blank, is you could just say welcome to my website if you wanted to. Totally fine. Just for now as a placeholder, or until you figure out what you may want to put in there. For a tagline, I've put in because your move matters. That's usually that's an example of KW's kind of boilerplated tagline. So if you don't have a good tagline in mind, you can put because your move matters. If I wanted to, though, I could put something more like, and this is something I've used in the past, looking for a simple backyard feature, recreational retreat, or a luxury canopy. We're here to help. That's been my fictitious tagline for years for treehousefinder.com. So you can play around with that. Don't feel a lot of pressure to come up with these things. Like I said, the world-class brand name and tagline, a lot of this may depend on what domain name you come up with. And picking a domain name, I'll just give you a preview to that. In my opinion, the key formula for successful domain name is combining geography, niche, and value systems. And so if you can think like that, what is your geography and niche? Usually that's very easy to come up with because you know what you do and where you do it. The challenging part is diversifying yourself from your competition and making yourself valuable to your clientele by presenting a value proposition of some sort that separates you from the masses and is valuable to your clientele. So a lot of times when I do a consultation on domains, that's the first place we start talking is what's your geography, niche, and then let's talk about a value system, which is not always a fun conversation to have because you got to think through it sometimes, and it may be difficult at this point to know what that value system is because it requires some thinking and some planning. You know, I can show you some tools though on a consultation. I can show you some tools that'll help validate any brainstorming that we come up with. I can make it worth your time. It's definitely a valuable conversation to have. Get on my schedule and say, hey, help me come up with a domain name, and I'll be happy to do that with you. And then we come back and incorporate that into your brand name on your website if you want to. For now, I've just put some placeholder in there for brand name. I went ahead and typed my official tagline. If you don't have an official tagline, because your move matters, ... is acceptable, you can move on. Those things are not that important. The next thing is definitely more important. Uploading a logo is super important because of compliance rules. So we've had problems here where other licensees are reporting us for compliance issues when it comes to prominence and adding our names to our website and adding correct broker designated logos to our website. So Craig Coffey from the commission came out here and gave us a wonderful lecture a few months ago talking about what they're looking for and the things that need to happen. And it's been determined that every agent needs to use a approved logo here when you upload your logo. And the approved logo can be found over here at rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. I've got a copy of it right over here. If we go to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, here's my website. One thing I haven't showed you today, at the very bottom of my website, very bottom is this area called Quick Links. Right there, Quick Links. And you can get Market Center logos. You can get print drivers if you need the printers. You can get Market Center logos. You can hyperlink right into my schedule and schedule with me. You can look at the training calendar. Those are my quick links. But the MC logos, Market Center logos, if you scroll on that, these are the approved logos that we want you putting up in the Placester logo footprint up here. Here's the First Atlanta logo. So this is the one that we would be using if we're First Atlanta agents. You can actually just click on this image right here, and your system should start downloading. I'm using Chrome browser, which the way Chrome handles a download is it puts it bottom left. Right there. If you're in Firefox, it'll put a blue arrow up here with a downward pointing arrow. If you're on a Mac using Safari, it'll put a blue progress bar in the top right corner. But in Chrome, it drops your downloads to the bottom left, and there's my file right there. I clicked on First Atlanta, and it downloaded this file. It's a zip file, though. You ever worked with a zip file before? A zip file is a collection of files that are zipped up together. And the reason we do that is because if we look inside the zip file, we're going to find that I have multiple versions of this First Atlanta logo. Watch how I unzip this. I'm going to use this upward pointing arrow, and I'm going to say Show in Folder because I want to see that file. And if you'll look, I've already done it before in another class in May there, it looks like. But here's the file that I just downloaded today, 720. It's called 156_First Atlanta. You see when I hover over it, it tells me right there that the type of files, it's a zip folder. And if you look closely, the manila folder actually has a zipper on it. So that tells me these are a zip file. See these folders over here? These over here don't have a zipper on them. Those are regular files, regular folders. But these are special. This is what I just downloaded, this one right here. There's today's date, 7/20 at 3:15. So if I right-click on a zip file, Windows gives me this menu option. And in this case, I've got an option to extract all right here. Now, a lot of Windows computers has a program called 7-Zip. If somebody or if you have put 7-Zip on your computer, instead of seeing extract all right here, you'll see the word 7-Zip right here, and then it'll break out to the side and you'll have the chance to extract all. I'm going to go ahead and extract this. I'm going to click on extract all, and I'm going to get a dialog window and it's asking me where do I want to extract, where do I want to unzip the contents of this folder. You can put it anywhere on your computer you want to. I could browse over here and put it on my desktop if I wanted to. I could say desktop, create a new folder, say logos, for example. And then with that highlighted, I could say select folder, and now I know it's going to drop this into a desktop folder called logos. Watch what happens when I extract. On my desktop is a folder called logos, and it filled it up with all these files. It's the same logo. It looks just like this, but it's in different formats over and over and over again. Check it out. Here in the RGB, I've got it here as a JPEG file. If I hover over that image, it says JPEG. If I hover over the next one, it says PNG file. If I hover over the next preview, it says PNG file. These, you can ignore these right here. These are just system files. We don't need to worry about them. Look at the colorful ones here. But you know what the difference between the PNG and the JPEG file is? Generally speaking, is the clear background or a white background. So JPEG, if you look at this JPEG here, that JPEG has a white background. It's red lettering with black lettering and a white background. If I come over here, this is a PNG file. It's red lettering and black lettering on a clear background, which means if I upload this logo to something that's got blue or green in the background will take on the underlying color. And then over here, it's similar but slightly different. It's a PNG file with red lettering and white lettering. It's very hard to see. I can see it from this distance, but it's white lettering on a clear background, whereas this is black lettering on a clear background. So PNG files just mean, you can just assume it's going to be clear backgrounds, and this can be a white background. So what does that matter? Well, look at my current website. Where is treehousefinder.com now? Where does it look like? I got too many windows open. Close some of these. And let's go look at what my website looks like. Okay, right now I've got a gray background and I've got a Atlanta perimeter logo. Is that a PNG file or a JPEG? It's going to be a PNG, right? Because it's clear, so we know that. And what I've done is I've chosen a white lettering on clear background. That would be not this folder, not the RGB folder. That would be this black and white folder. And here's the versions of white lettering on clear background. You see those? So if I wanted to, I could upload this white lettering with a clear background. I'm going to upload that into my Placester site since I have a gray banner. Watch this. From Placester, I'm going to go to Upload Logo. I'm going to upload a file. I'm going to navigate to where I just unzipped all that stuff. It was on the desktop. Here we go. Go to the desktop. There's my logos folder. There's my black and whites. These are my PNG files with white lettering and clear background. I'll choose that one. Now I'm going to make sure that display name and display logo are checked, and I can go preview this real quick by save, and then go take a look at my website once this completes. Here we go. So it says Atlanta Perimeter. That was the last class I taught. I'm going to recycle the page, and then boom, there we go. It's the broker approved, Greg approved logo, and it's got white lettering and a clear background, so it fits really nice on this banner. Watch for a minute though. If I go to my Placester site and I change my theme selection to something like maybe Plymouth, notice Plymouth has the white background. So watch what happens if I go to Plymouth and save it, and then go look at my website, recycle it. I lose my logo. So here in a scenario like that, I need to think about that and say, oh, I need to go modify my logo real quick. Go back to site info, come over here to logo, and on a white background, this white image with a clear background and white lettering is no good. So I'll go and get a different one. Instead of working in my black and white folder, I'll come down to my RGB, and I'm not going to use this one because it's white lettering on a clear background. That would not look good on a white background, but these will look great because it's black lettering. It'll stand out. So if I save that and then come over here and recycle the page, the problem is solved. There we go. It fits. So you may have to play around with that. If you change your template, you may need to go back and change your logo so that you don't lose it. Or if you change your logo, you may need to change, you might need to change your banner or your template to make sure you can see it. Don't panic if it disappears. It just probably means you've got white on white or something like that. Another common thing I'll show you real quick is I see this a lot of times. People will upload, they'll have this logo like I've got with the red lettering for KW and the black First Atlanta. But watch this. If I go to the template theme and you go put it back on Madison and use Madison with a red, watch what happens. When I save this, pull it up, recycle it, it's going to go back to Madison. I got a red banner, and I lost the red KW because it got lost in the banner, you see? So you got to tackle that and go, okay, something's going on here. Is this compliant? Is it not? And it actually looks horrible, but that's not compliant right there. So you'd have to fix that. If you said, you know what, I really do like the red banner, so come over here to Site Info, manipulate your logo. Come over here, and I would say that for that case, I would say that white on red would look really sharp. Grab a white one with a clear background, open that up, save it, and it should look really good. Here we go. Recycle that page. You can see how sharp that looks there, right? And it's compliant. If you're having trouble with that, let me know. Get on my schedule. Talk to me after class. I'll help you get the right logo up there. A lot of times people get the logo today, but then they'll make a change and they'll lose the logo because of the change. That's where I'll usually come in. Let's keep pushing on site info. So we want to use the compliant logos up here. Get them from Rawls Group Help Desk. Easiest way to do it. We're going to push on down to contact details. When we get down to contact details, we're going to put our name, our email address, phone number, and photo. But we have to do our name in a special way. So here's my name here. I'm just going to put Scott Hardy for now. Put my email address and my phone number. Upload your headshot. So if I save that the way I've got it and preview the site, it'll look good. And here it is. Let's see. It says Scott Hardy. There we go. The problem with this is, again, with compliance, is that there's a rule that whenever you advertise inventory, which we are on this website, there it is, your name cannot show up more times than the broker's name, right? And so other licensees are reporting our agents for that violation, and they're getting fined, and they're paying $500 fines for this kind of stuff. Crazy, right? So talking to Lynn LaCroix about the situation, she's our compliance officer, we said one way to remedy that would be if that anytime we put our name in, anytime we typed our name, if we said, instead of just Scott Hardy, if we wrote Scott Hardy with Keller Williams Realty, or Keller Williams First Atlanta is acceptable, I think. I'm going to put it in all the way. Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta. If we combine those two, then anytime the system's planting my name, which, by the way, I'm putting my name in once here, but it's going to put it in 3 or 4 different places on the website. So if we will use this system here of adding with Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta, then anytime our name is displayed, we know that it's not going to be displayed more times than the broker's name, right? It protects us against that. And so that's been the philosophy there. You haven't missed much here. You're good. You better jump right in.
Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see your name there more times than the broker's name. Is that was a problem?
Well, it is, because here's my name here. There's the broker's name. But then here's my name again, right there, right? And then here's my name again. And so you can start counting those up and realize that's where people are getting dinged. So by coming in and changing it and saying side info and Scott Hardy with Keller Williams First Atlanta, Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta, by saving that, it helps ensure that my name does not show up more times than the broker's name. So now watch. When I recycle the page, we'll see it. You saw it down there at the bottom. There it is. And there it is right there. And there it is right there. And we started looking at that and we said, well, okay, I like the way we're tackling that. It's aggressive enough that, you know, we're protecting ourselves, but I really hate the way it wraps that text. You see that issue there where it says First Atlanta gets wrapped around? And we found a little trick. Here it is. When you type your name in the site info, when you type your name, if you put an open bracket with the letters BR and then a closed bracket, even though it's a name field, the system will read that. That's an HTML command that says break return, BR, break return. So if I put a break return right here, even though that looks funky to our eye right there, the BR is not going to show up. The bracket, BR bracket, won't show up. The system will see that and read it as a command, and it'll take this and put it below my name. So watch what happens. This is a little counterintuitive. Who would have thought you could put HTML code right there, but you can. Watch.
You're saying we should do that?
I would do that. If you don't like the way this is, to see the way that looks, Scott Hardy with Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta, how it wrapped it. Watch this. When I recycle it after putting the BR command in, Scott Hardy with Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta. So maybe I didn't. Maybe instead I'll do it this way. Maybe watch. Here you go. Let's reinforce it. Maybe I come into site info, find my name, and there's the BR command. Maybe I didn't like my name followed with Keller Williams Realty immediately on the next line. Maybe I want to do it this way. depending on the length of your name, the name of your broker, you can play around with it. Wherever you put the bracket, BR bracket, is where the system is going to take a break return. And now I can recycle the page. And it's going to modify that. That looks a little better. You can play around with it. Different templates will handle that differently, so that's why I want you to see that you can mobilize that BR bracket in your name. So maybe it looks good here, then you load up the Plymouth and you don't like the way it looks, we'll go put the BR somewhere else strategically in that string of text if you want. Heck, or take the BR out. If you like it all in one line, that works. I just had a lot of people come back and push because it didn't look good right here, and we were relieved to find that it could read the BR command. See there? I don't like the way that looks, but I would settle for that. That looks pretty good. So silly that we got to do that, but that's one of the things that Lynn LaCroix and I have talked about. And we said, you know what, everybody, we've got to get this message out to everybody because agents are sure enough getting fines. How you doing over there?
Well, it keeps taking me out. Like I just saved that,
Yep.
these changes, and now it's taking me out and making me sign in again.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to sign back in. I don't know why that's doing that. Yeah, I don't know.
Since we've done it last time.
Yeah, I would get on the phone maybe with KW support. We can talk to them together and say, hey, why do we keep getting logged off?
Shouldn't be doing that,
Yeah, it shouldn't be. But yeah, the right answer, though, is to go ahead and log off, log back on. I'm sorry, I missed your name.
Dana.
Dana, all you really missed here is I gave a kind of a lengthy explanation so people would understand, but all you missed when you stepped out was over here under site info is, I think you walked out on the part of us uploading our KW logos, but then the other trick or importance was the way we put our name in. Don't just put just your name.
Okay.
For compliance reasons, you need to add the with Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta. And that gets a little lengthy, and I think you understood. Did you catch the BR command? Yeah, so I think you're up to date on it. So get your name in there. Work with that BR command if you want to. For email, put your email in there. For phone number, put your phone number in there. It will not display your email on the website. It'll be a click here to email or a clickable email button. It will display your phone number. Put your phone number up there, and then put your best photo up there. And once you've done that, then you're going to work on the office details. And the office details are strict as well. They must be, for this location, it'll be Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta. And then for the phone number, it's going to be 404-531-5700. Need to put the broker's phone number. You can leave the email blank.
Oh, really? Why would you want to put the email in there?
It's not necessary. I mean, yeah.
They want their office.
Yep. It needs to be the broker's office information. So Keller Williams First Atlanta, Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta. I've heard there's some leniency on whether you put Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta or Keller Williams First Atlanta. I like to err on the side of caution to put the whole thing in there. I think it is too. I'm just skittish about it. The address, we know 200 Glenridge Point Parkway, Suite 100. I got that in there. I'll leave it up there for y'all to see it. And that's Atlanta, Georgia, and it'll be 30319. 30342. I'm sorry. I even knew that. So there we've got it in correctly. Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta. You can do all caps or cap sensitive, however you want to. That is choked. Make sure though you get the phone number in correctly, the address in correctly. Craig Coffey was very complimentary in what he said. He said that it's just the price of being on top, being leaders. You guys are doing so well as an organization that people are taking pot shots at you, as far as the compliance goes. So, yeah, that's frustrating. We got to go through all this, but it's important you do it this way. Are y'all good? Ready to move on? The meta title and description, we talk about that in our Part 2 class, our advanced class. We're going to skip over that for now. We're just going to save what we have there. And hopefully you've got your headshot and your contact information, your broker information, all done in a compliant manner on your website, and it's starting to fill out across the top. starting to look something like mine if you're on the Madison template.
Can we, for our logo, can it just be the Keller Williams logo, or does it have to say Keller Williams First Atlanta?
It has to say Keller Williams First Atlanta. It's got to be, yeah. If you don't get it from my site, it'll be the one you get from mykw.kw.com, which is the same one.
So you would leave that email blank, huh?
Email blank for the broker, yes. So, all right. Let's keep going here, folks. We're making great progress here. Looks like we're going to end on time. So we just finished up with site info. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch gears here on you, and we're going to start talking about the area page. This will be the last thing we work on, area page and menu, and then we'll break. Area pages are going to be up at the top of this section. We've been working our way down this whole thing on the left. Area pages are going to be up here in this section up here across the horizontal bar. It's right here. So we're going to be working at areas. Click on areas, and what this brings up, if you have never built an area page, then you're not going to see anything at all here. Actually, there's supposed to be a number. I've got like 6. This should say areas and then 6 in parentheses. Just not picking it up. Yours should say 0, mine should say 6, but it's just empty brackets or parentheses for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, these are pages that I pre-built. I created these. They're not built in by KW or by Placester. And what we're going to do is I'm going to focus on the East Cobb page. I've got all the components that I can share with you and how I built it. So in review, let's just look at it for a second. We're talking about this area right here, the service areas. And I've built out these different IDX pages, area pages. There's, for example, my Jasper page coming up. And so it's the same model. I put an image for Jasper. I wrote custom information about Jasper. Custom information all the way. And then down here I got into nearby listings. This is where my IDX stuff kicks in. All right, so we're building these area pages. And I've built those pages by coming over here to areas.
To build our own area, should we just type in the area that we want? Or?
You should, but for right now, what I would suggest you do is sit back, watch this process. Yep.
Oh, wait a minute, where is the site settings? I wasn't paying attention.
It's all right.
So we should, right now I just have the 0 and blank.
Yep. Did you find it?
Yes.
Okay. So here is my East Cobb page. You've already seen my East Cobb page, but I'm going to show you the build out, the content, and how it was built. So here's the guts, if you will, of my East Cobb page. So you can see I start out with this section here allows me to define my area. And I define East Cobb by zip code. I chose 30062 in this instance. We'll dig into that in just a minute. And then I said, yeah, I want to feature that area. I uploaded this image right here, and then I wrote all this content. And we're going to rebuild all this in just a minute. I just wanted you to kind of see the construction of a custom page, an area page. Notice how I've got multiple headlines. I've got an economy and workforce headline with some body, and then I've got culture and history with body about culture and history and some photos. Okay, so all that looks like this when you get done. There's my image, there's my body, there's my video, multiple headlines, then there's all my IDX. All this is coming in based on how I defined that first section. So what I'm going to do to demonstrate this is I want you to see how I built the page, and I want you to see how I built this menu structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all this stuff and let you watch how I build it. And I think it'll make sense. It's not difficult, but it's just not intuitive, so it helps to see how this goes. Before I work on these pages, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these menu items. I'm going to delete all these menu items out of here. So here's how I do that. I'm just going to go to Site Settings. I'm going to go to Menu. I'm going to go find my area pages. Now, the dead giveaway, of course, is you see the city name, so there's my area pages. Now, trick, I could remove each one of these one by one, but because these are nested underneath my service areas page, if I just remove the service area, it'll say this page and 6 subpages will be removed from the menu. Now bear in mind, this is just removing them from the menu. It's not deleting the page themselves. The pages will still be on the server. So watch, if I delete these, it will remove them from my menu. I'll save that. Go look at my menu. It's not showing up there. I'll look at my menu. They should be gone, which they are. If I go look at my website, click on home, the menu item service areas are now gone. However, the pages themselves are still present. Watch this. If I go in outside of my menu and come over here to my areas section where we were just looking, the pages themselves are still there. So I didn't delete them. I'm actually going to delete the East Cobb page though and rebuild it. So I'm actually going to come in here and just remove that page, delete it. And I've got all the parts to that available real quick. Rawls group help desk. Whoops, I mistyped it. Raw. Rawls group help desk. And I'm just going to download those real quick. Facilitator files. So I don't have to retype it and make it up. I can just copy and paste all this material. So it's a zip file. Watch, I'll just unzip that real quick. And now I've got all my parts that I need so I can build this for us. All right, so to get busy, first thing I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to build my area pages. So there's Jasper, Blairsville, Buckhead, Smyrna, Dunwoody, East Cobb is missing. So the first thing I'll do is I'll come in and add a new page. Now I know my plan, I had a plan in mind, is to create an East Cobb page. So I'm going to go ahead and give that page a title. I'm going to call it East Cobb. But watch the slug that says shardy.kw.com. As I start typing East Cobb, do you notice what's happening? How it's actually creating a link right here. These pages are standalone pages. So whatever I type for the title, it echoes in keystroke after this word area right there. When I get done, I could actually have this link, copy and paste that link, and the page will be a standalone page. You could get a domain with GoDaddy if you wanted to. You could market it standalone. It's pretty powerful. It's kind of cool. So whatever you type in the title. Next, I have type of area and name of area. This gives me control over defining my IDX criteria. So type of area, my choices are, I can define the area by county, by region, by locality, postal, or neighborhood. So county is, like you say, county. Region is city names. Region is state. Locality is cities, postal, and then neighborhood. So watch how this works. If I say county, then by choosing county here, it influences how this area behaves. And now, because my website was connected to FMLS earlier today, it's going to be pulling counties that are in FMLS as available choices. So if I wanted to define this by, Gwinnett County, I could. If I wanted to define it by Cobb County, I could do that. I could, if I could find Cobb somewhere in there. There it is. If I were to continue and lock this in, then all my IDX part, the listings and the featured listings would be found in Cobb County. Or I could come back and say, instead of county, maybe I want to do region. Probably not, because as you can see, if I choose region, it influences this area now to pull by state. That didn't do me much good. It's too broad of a term, right? That's no good. If I wanted to do locality, these are now going to be cities. So now by choosing type of area and making it locality, it's going to impact this pull down choice based on the cities that are in FMLS. Have you ever looked up East Cobb in FMLS before? It's a trick question. You can't do it because it's not incorporated. It makes this actually a challenging example, to be quite honest with you. But it's the one that I broke down and have all the parts to, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. I need to update it at some point. You can't find East Cobb as a city, because that would be too easy, right? If I could just define this by East Cobb, then it would automatically tie in just East Cobb listings. If I wanted to do LJ, sure, it's got it. Dunwoody, yeah, I mean, Dunwoody's incorporated, ABCD, where is it? Dunwoody.
What does Dunwoody have to do with East Cobb?
Nothing. I'm just showing you how these are cities that it's pulling from FMLS, right? So if I, for example, watch this. If I just save my work and then go look at my Dunwoody page, here's my Dunwoody page. Notice when I did my type of area, I chose locality because I can find Dunwoody as a city. It's in there because that's an FMLS city. So that worked very well. So it automatically showed Dunwoody listings, strictly showed Dunwoody listings. Same thing with Jasper and so forth. Jasper, I think I did postal on that. Let's see if I can find another one I did a city on. Hang on. Smyrna Vinings probably is a city. I did postal on that too. Nah, get out of here. I can't believe I didn't do Smyrna. So if I chose Smyrna here,
Isn't Vinings an area of Smyrna?
it is.
So wouldn't,
It may be in there as Vinings.
I was trying to find out.
There it is, Smyrna. See right there? So I could do that by the city of Smyrna. And it's going to now show me just Smyrna listing and inventory on that page. But with East Cobb, it's tricky because East Cobb is not a city. When I do the East Cobb page,
like an area.
Huh?
East Cobb is really
it's an area, but it's not defined in FMLS. That's what I'm saying. You cannot find, there's not an area, and there may be a digit area. Like, I know a lot of times y'all refer to like area 52 or 53 or whatever, and that may be East Cobb, but this doesn't pull by area numbers. It only pulls by county, region, locality, postal, and neighborhood. Locality, you sure would love to be able to pull this up by city and find East Cobb in the list.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
but in here and it's
it's just, yeah, it's not there. Alpharetta is not there. East Cobb's just not there. So the next best thing,
not there either.
so the next best thing would be, instead of doing locality, would be postal, and then pick a zip code for East Cobb. Now, when you do a postal code, you can only do one zip code at a time, or excuse me, one zip code per area page. So you'd have to pick the best suitable zip code, in your opinion, for East Cobb. 30064 is arguably pretty good for East Cobb.
But for the other things like the city list,
No cities, it's just going to be one city. Yep, if you notice, those pull downs are very specific. I can't believe only one zip code. I think that was short-sighted, to be honest with you. Right, no.
There's only one zip code we can put in there.
That's only, yep, you can only put one zip code in on an area page. So when you think about it this way, if your area, East Cobb, is going to overlap more than one zip code, arguably, yes, it does, right? So you realize you're not going to have perfect capture of all the inventory here, but it's a real good slice of it. It's enough to get several things happening. One, it's enough to build several pages of content, which is one of the reasons why we want to build an area page. So when Google crawls our website, it sees multiple pages related to East Cobb. Even if you didn't get 100% of all the listings incorporated, the listings that you did get, it's going to be 30 or 40 pages worth of listings, so it's going to help your website. For a consumer to get up, number two reason, for a consumer to find your website and to get in the East Cobb page, the idea is that they see those featured listings, but then they begin new searches and say, okay, there's 34 pages of listings East Cobb, let me complete my own search. So they'll put in price points and search results, and it'll take over this featured listings here, and it'll start a brand new search that then your consumer is searching for themselves. Watch. I can see the look there. I don't know if I'm saying that well. So let me just try to pull that page up so you can see it. So for example, for the Dunwoody page, I'll pull that page up real quick. So the idea, let's say apply what we're talking about to just the Dunwoody page for a minute. If I'm at my Dunwoody page and I'm a consumer and I just landed here, the idea is that here they are and they're looking at it, and maybe they're reading this history and some details about it, maybe they're not, but maybe they're looking at the featured listings and the push pins. The idea is that they would get down here and start looking and go, okay, there's some listings here, maybe I'm interested in that one, I'll look at that one, maybe I'll look at this one, but then, and I don't know why that's going on right there, this error message. That is weird. But the idea is once they're looking at one here, that they would say, okay, this is pretty good, I'm interested in that. But then they would start looking and doing their own search. So maybe they get all this detail here. And notice how this is finding more listings. And then ultimately they get in here, and the idea is that they would come in and start doing their own, create their own search. Go in here and either register on your website up here so they can save their listings. Where's our free Contact, free mobile app, find your next. Oh, I changed the name of it.
What's that happening when they save that?
So let's say they went in there and saved that listing. If they were to see this and said, yep, this is one I'm interested in, and they try to, dadgummit, why is this thing airing out today?
Just like mine's.
So frustrating. So let's say they like this one and wanted to bookmark it there or save it. It's going to force them to register on the website, right? So they're going to create a login that then they can constantly come back to your website and log in, and they can review the listings that they've bookmarked. They can review the listing search criteria they've set, and they can read their history of their searches, and they can go back and look at a collection of things that they've bookmarked that as their favorites. But the idea of it is that at some point they're going to be doing a search beyond your area page, and they'll come in and set their own criteria here. And so they'll come in and say, I'm looking for something in East Cobb. And when it does that search, it's going to start finding East Cobb listings. And what's happening here is it's finding listings that have East Cobb in the details and the description, and so it's going to start finding East Cobb listings. So the fact that your East Cobb area page or your Dunwoody area page doesn't have every listing in there is not a big deal. It's to start momentum. It's to build that interest. And in web terms, what it is it's building engagement, right? You're getting them there. You're getting them involved with the search page. You're showing them featured listings. They realize if I want to see more than these featured listings, I've got to do a search and find exactly what I'm looking for. It doesn't do any good for you to show them 200 listings in East Cobb. That's too much. They need to narrow it down to begin with, right, before it becomes effective. So the idea, the conversion goal here is that you got them to your website. They landed on the page. They're looking through your listings. Maybe they see one or two they're interested in the featured properties. They click on it, and they're reading the details. But ultimately, the next thing they do is going to be a custom search, and that's the idea behind getting them there. The visit doesn't end just by looking at your area page. That's a starting point. They were just moving chairs around. So, yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to answer your question.
I understand.
So if I really want to just probably capture everything in Fulton County in my area, can I just put county Fulton and make it one?
Yeah, absolutely. What I think you should do right now is watch what I'm doing instead of trying to do it. Just watch what I'm going through, and then let's build your page. Because I'm just trying to show you how to build the page right now, and then how to add it to your menu. We got 9 minutes. I think it's going to be best you let me show you how to build it, and then I'll help you build your page afterwards. Okay? So I'm trying to define East Cobb here. Because I can't put the city in here, I'm going to satisfy my criteria with just a zip code. As far as a sort option, I can sort it by one of these labels here. I think price highest to lowest works for me. I'm going to say yes, I want to feature it. And by completing all these fields here, that now has set my area for my East Cobb page. All the remaining work is just adding my custom information. So I'm going to do a slideshow. I'm going to do a single image slideshow. I have that picture of the East Cobb Park with the bridge. I put that in my downloads. Let me go get that real quick. Here we go. And there's my bridge photo. So I'm going to load my bridge photo up in there. It's 1600 by 600, so I know it's going to fit. And then I've got my headline sections in there. I've got that worked out. Oh, goodness, come on. It says working on it. That's fun. Finally. And so what I've got here is a Word document where I've just put all my context in. So one of my first sections was economy and workforce, and I had a little write-up about it. So I'm just going to paste that in there so you don't have to watch me try to type all that in there. I'll drop it in. So my headline was East Cobb, was actually workforce and economy. Economy and workforce. And then here I can put in my body. It's going to paste what I had written. This tool allows you to format the body. So I can do bold, italics, things like that, underline. I can do straight HTML if I wanted to get in here and get kind of tricky. One of the things I want to show you is how to add a video. So what I've done here is in this body, there's a section here that I break out about East Cobb Health Park. And I'll show you this well star. Just from doing this every time, I knew right where that was and where I wanted to break that out and bold that little section there. And then so this is a little blurb about the East Cobb Health Park by Wellstar. And I'll show you how to add a video. There's a YouTube video about East Cobb Health Park that fits with what I'm saying. And so I'm going to plant that video in this area. The way I do that is by using this insert video tool right here. So here's how it works. So I put my cursor right where I want to put the video, and then click Insert Video, and it's going to ask me for an embed code, a video embed code, or a YouTube Vimeo link. So what I'm going to do is go over to YouTube, and I'm going to do a search for East Cobb Health Park. And there's an actual video about the East Cobb Health Park Center. If I click on that video,
Now you can use these videos without permission?
you can. You can. These videos are posted. That's a great question. These are posted under public license, so with YouTube. Where you might get in trouble is if somebody has a private video that you get your hands on. If somebody were to create a private video on their YouTube channel. Let's say that I had a YouTube channel that only my subscribers could see a video to. But then I took the link and I emailed it to you and said, hey, I'm really not supposed to share this with you, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. And then you looked at that link and you thought, that's great. I'm going to put that on my website. That's where you may start having problems. But by just going to YouTube and doing a search here, it's totally fine. In fact, the tools are right here. Watch. I mean, you may have shared a link before by clicking on the address and copying that, putting it in a text or an email to somebody. But look down here. It's actually got sharing tools right here. So if anything implied that it would be okay is the fact that right here are tools to share. And when you click on it, it opens up and you can see where there's a public link. And if I were to click through, it would associate this link with one of my social media channels. But look right here, embed. This is what Placester is asking for. Back here, Placester is asking for an embed code, and over here, YouTube is giving me an embed code. You see that?
Yeah.
So it's already highlighted. I can just right-click and copy on that. If you accidentally click on it and lose the highlight, it's kind of difficult sometimes to get the whole thing when the frame, when the text goes out of the frame. So here's a trick. If you accidentally click on it, try triple clicking. If you triple click, you can get the whole string of text. If you don't know, a lot of people tell me this is like worth coming to. If you don't know about that, triple and double clicking. Watch this. If you double click a word, it gets the whole thing. If you triple click it, it gets the whole sentence. If you double click a word, it gets the whole word. If you triple click a paragraph, it gets the whole paragraph.
I didn't know that.
Saves so much time to be doing that. So I'm going to triple click that string of text and copy it now. Go back to my Placester, and I'm going to paste that in there. I could manipulate the code. I don't need to. I'm satisfied with what's going on there. I'm just going to get it in there. And you'll see now it's going to implant that video, embed that video right into my text. Pretty straightforward. I've got additional headlines here. After the economy and workforce, I talked about the culture and history. I'm going to copy that. And I'm not going to do 3. I'm just going to do 2 right here. So culture.
Did you do your own research on all these cities to get this information?
No, I borrowed from Wikipedia.
Okay.
I did that because just for time's sake, I wasn't trying to do
Yeah,
content,
for
but I just
education.
pasted it in there. Yeah. But you would not want to do that. It wouldn't do you any good, right? So there's my next section of body. Now I could use these tools to add images. I could upload images and videos right in line, or I could use these supporting images, and I want you to see how these work. Whenever you add body and the system offers supporting images, what's nice about it, when you upload the images, it formats them and places them just right, so you don't have to worry about trying to get them to look right and to mix with the text. So watch this. You don't get any choice in the matter, but it does it correctly. So since I talked about culture and history, I'm going to put the Taste of Marietta image because I did talk about the Taste of Marietta up there.
Yeah, like that.
And yeah, it's very local fare. And then for history, what else could you put but a Georgia history placard, right? I mean, anyway, just trying to get the point across. I want you to see the treatment of adding these supported images as opposed to putting them in line. If I had more to say, I would right here. You know, one thing that I've noticed that I missed when I created these pages, and it's kind of evidence that I'm such a technician and not a salesperson trying to make a living at this, is I didn't talk about East Cobb real estate. And one day I was laying in bed and it just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, on these pages, why am I not talking about East Cobb real estate? So I wanted to mention that. Don't forget, that's what this whole thing's about. So that's a great topic. Maybe that's an opening topic. And instead of the third headline, maybe that should be your first, your first headline. But anyway, I'm going to leave that blank for now. I'm not going to worry about the excerpt. Nobody that I know can explain how the excerpt works. I just skip it. No, I've not found anybody. Pointing to you, YouTube, right now, as I'm talking to YouTube and being recorded. If somebody out there knows the answer to that, I'd love to know. How do we do the excerpt? Can't figure that out. And then SEO, we're going to skip for now. That's something we do in a later class. Just want to save to get my content put together. And so now I've got my East Cobb page should be restored in my collection of area pages. If I want to go view it, I could click on it and I could visit it directly. Because remember, none of those pages are on my menu anymore. That's one of the first things we did was we got rid of it off the menu. So I'm going to just paste it, go do a test drive real quick, see what my area page looks like. Guys, it's 4 o'clock. We just got about 5 to 10 more minutes here, and I'll be wrapping it up for us. So there's my East Cobb page with my custom content, my images. There's my video. Lost sound for a minute. There it goes. Then there's my content. Then down here starts my IDX parts, where I've got my inventory based on the zip code that we designated, that we finally said, okay, that's going to just be good enough. So now the business of getting it into the menu, right? Because it's nowhere up here in the menu. So here's how I do it. Here's how I did the menu. I came into my Placester control panel, site settings, and I went into menu. And remember how I had it. I had it set up that it was service areas, and then there was a pull down, right, with all my cities. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get that parent button in there. The way we get the parent button is we come on down here to our ad, and from our pull down, the best selection is actually pre-selected. It's a home page button or a home button. So I'm just going to click add, and there it is right there. It added it. If you didn't notice, I saw you look away. Watch. There's my home. If I add it, there it is right there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this progressively so you can get the idea of how this works. You could do all these steps in one fell swoop, but watch this. If I save it, go look at my website, recycle it, it's going to add that new button called home. So I'm making progress. Nothing happens when you click on it yet. So the first thing I would do after creating that home button is I would come down here and I'd relabel it. Something appropriate. Something like service areas. I'm not crazy about tooltips. I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to save that. So now my home button should now be called, it'll come in again here. There it is, service areas. So instead of called home, it's called service areas. So that works.
So this home is different than the home that's on top.
It is.
So-
Yep. It is different.
Okay, so home. I've got it down at the bottom. Hit add.
Yep. See where I've got mine up here? This was built in by the system. And if I come down here, this one here is going to do, I'm going to change the label called service areas. But I'm not done. I still got all those pages that I've got to account for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this add button to get all my actual pages added to the menu. Watch how this works. I'm going to hit this downward arrow, and I'm going to be looking through. Remember, this box pops up, and all my pages, my custom pages and built-in pages that exist on my website are going to be presented to me so that I can add them to my menu. So what I'm looking for are those area pages. We know East Cobb is one, right? We just built that one, so I'm going to add that. If I save this and go look at my website, East Cobb page is on the menu. It's in the wrong place, right? It needs to be underneath that service areas, but we're getting there. So this is how I do it. I go in and I just add all my little pages in here. So I got East Cobb in there. Let's see what else I've got. Jasper, that's one. That's an area page. And I know these because I built them, right? I recognize the cities. Blairsville's another one. Those are all my area pages. Buckhead, Atlanta, that was one. Smyrna Vinings was another. Dunwoody, I see them. They're coming faster now. I see them. Dunwoody, and that's it. So if we go look and save that, look at what my website now looks like. Recycle the page. There's my service areas, and there's all my area pages. They're present, but they're just not organized correctly. The last thing I've got to do is get them underneath this service areas, and here's how you do it. Go back to menu, and here's the area we're focusing on. It's this home page. There it is, service areas. There's my East Cobb, Jasper, Blairsville. So the way this works, notice my mouse turns into a plus sign when I hover over a button. Here it's an arrow. And then when I get over here, it turns into a plus sign. That means that the plus sign means I can left click and drag these into different orders. You see how I'm dragging the orders? I'm just dragging them, left click, and then let go of the click. And so that reshuffles them. But watch what happens if I drop a button on top of another one. And I've got to go past this one. See how it wants to reshuffle it up there, but I'm still left clicking, still holding that left click, and I'm going to bring it all the way back down on top. Notice how now the dotted line surrounds the underlying button. Now when I let go, watch what happens to Jasper. I just let go, and it establishes that indent. Now that I've got the indent, I can left click these and just put them in between the two, home and Jasper, and see it inherited that East Cobb page. Now I can drag that in. It's going to inherit the Blairsville, Buckhead. I'm just looking at the ones that are not indented right now. Dunwoody's the last one. I could even reorder these if I wanted to. I could say, hey, I like this one here and I like this one here. It still maintains the indentation. Save the page. Recycle this page, and it should clean up my menu. All these area pages now should be nested. There they are underneath. So that technique works for area pages if you want to do it. You could do preferred vendors. You could create a home button called preferred vendors and then go create custom pages and one for each vendor and then nest them if you wanted to. You could do a marketing plan, steps to buying your house. You can make a home button called steps to your first purchase and then go create 5. If there's 5 steps, then go create 5 custom pages and nest them. Step 1, step 2, step 3. So that technique is kind of universal on the website. Hopefully that gets your creative juices. Everybody's writing. That's good. I'm glad to see that. So you get some ideas.
Why on the menu page where your service area button, why does it say home and not service area?
Because the way the system works is when you're adding either a home page button or a page or a link. And then if you add a home page button, you change the label of it to the appropriate. So home page, I'm changing that label to service areas. So anytime, like if I was going to create a marketing plan, right? Or maybe I was going to do a steps to buying your home. Maybe I come in here and say add a home page. There it is. And I'd come in here and change this to steps. Oh man, what happened there? Steps to buying your home or selling your home or whatever. Get rid of the tooltip. Not crazy about that so much. And if I save that, then now my website is going to create a new button here when I recycle the page. Steps to buying your home. Even though it was a home button that I added, and it still is going to show up as a home button in my menu map, but it's going to present on my website according to the label that I choose. See how it still says home on my menu map up there? But if I hit that black diamond, the label reveals that it's actually steps to buying your home or whatever. And then what I would do is I would go in and I could create custom pages if I wanted to and nest them underneath there. You could go into custom pages here, and just like we created area pages, I could create custom pages. Step 1, and then write out step 1 and save it. Then create another custom page, step 2, and write that out. And then I could go and I could nest them underneath here, just like I nested my area pages. It all works the same. That would be a good example of getting on my calendar and spending time with me. I'd be happy to. I'm definitely talking about that really quickly right now, trying to wrap up our time. Don't mean to rush through it, but that would be a very worthwhile appointment if that just got your creative juices going. You're thinking, okay, I get what you're saying now. So let it be said. Let's make it happen, and get on my calendar. Be happy to walk, through that.
Did you go over domain names?
We talked about that at the very beginning, but not the steps. All I said about domain names is if you brought a domain name today that you want to get configured to your website, I'll do it for you right now. Thanks for coming. Appreciate your time. I'll set it up for you right now if you've got it. Do you have a domain name that you're ready for?
I do. My husband did it, so I don't know what information do I need?
You need if it's a GoDaddy domain, then you need your GoDaddy login, and then you log in for KW. That's all you need. If you can get those two things, then we can do it right now before you leave. How you doing, Alicia?
Well, I'm hanging in there. I'm tired. It's been a long day, and I know you're busy, and I'm gonna go, but I have an appointment with you on Monday. Could be Skippy. Let's see here.
Yippee Skippy, she says.
I think at 3:00 for an hour on Monday.
Okay.
So I know I'm gonna have some time with you, but I just wanted to